at the City Council chambers. The Zoom links was provided to any that requested. You can also see this meeting or watch this meeting while in progress through our Lawrence City Council Facebook page, as well as the Lawrence City Council YouTube page. Roll call, please.
Councilor Levy.
Present.
Councilor LaPlante. Councilor Luzon.
Present.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Present.
Councilor Santiago.
Present.
Councilor Marmo.
Present.
Councilor Reyes.
Present.
Council Vice President Infante.
Present.
Council President Rodriguez.
Present. Please join me for a moment of silence. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There is no minute to be approved at this point, and we will proceed with public participation. Public participation, you're going to have 2.5 minutes. The rules are as follows. You will speak whatever you wish to speak. You have 2.5 minutes. At the 2-minute mark, you're gonna hear a ring, and that means that you still have 30 more seconds. Refer to the council as a whole, not as an individual councilor. So the first person on public participation is H. Mali.
Moin Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening, honorable members. Lawrence Police, with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Chief Castro, doing excellent job to protect our citizens. We support Police Officers Union, Superior Officers Union. Lawrence Police, this union of pride and honor, one of the best police departments in the nation, deserve the best contract and compensation. Million thanks to DPW workers and leadership. Lawrence is a beautiful city because of your hard work. We demand the best compensation for our DPW workers. Lawrence Inspection Department employees, thank you for excellent job. We support your great union. We must hire more inspectors. Lawrence teachers, you are number one. You are the most important reason for success of Lawrence Public School. Thank you for excellent job. We demand the best compensation for Lawrence Public School employees. Please help our homeless. Bring food and donation to the Buckley Garage every Wednesday night. Lawrence always is strong. Lawrence always unite. We are proud to be the best example of support and respect for our union rights, for our brave firefighters, best police officers, DPW, Inspection Department, and our great teachers union. We pray for the safety of all police officers endangering their life every day, for our safety and protection. We are proud to be the best city in support the Police Officers Union in the nation. We are united with one voice to support Lawrence police officers. Thank you for excellent job. Demand the best contract for all Lawrence police officers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mali. The next person on the list is Marco Ayala. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, councils. Marco Ayala, 90 Lowell Street. I'm in my 29th year with the Lawrence Police Department. I've worked with several of you, so congratulations on your re-election. And for those new councilors, congratulations on your election to the City Council. Just want to ask for your support for what our executive board for the Lawrence Patrolmen's Association is here to answer your questions. Having give you some historical knowledge, I was an executive board member for many years of my career. Several mayors, several contract negotiations, the last one being a 5-year wait. Nobody should be made to wait 5 years to get a fair increase in their wage. We've taken many zeros through the years. As all of you know, Lawrence is a growing city, a lot more apartments, businesses, and our department numbers really haven't changed that much. Those younger officers that are here want to stay, but when it's appetizing to go to other departments and apply to other agencies where they get paid tremendously larger salaries. They're not looking for tremendously larger salaries. They're looking for a fair wage. And I think they need that. I'm a short timer. I'm in my 29th year. I don't have many years to go. But you have to think of the younger officers in this department. We want to retain them. They're city kids. They're Lawrence kids. Most of our department's Latino. They're born and raised here or immigrated here with their families. They want to serve their communities. So your support on this is very important. We are deserving of that. These young men and women are deserving of that. They're very hardworking young men and women, answering calls beyond or greater numbers than departments double our size. So I hope I'm not telling you anything new. I hope you're aware of that. But I do want your support for this contract. The executive board worked diligently for this. They settled it in close to 2 years, which is probably the fastest contract we've settled with any administration. So I commend them for that, for the hard work they did. And also the administration in realizing that this union, the majority number in that police department that answers the calls, that responds to services when you guys call. You see them at community events, you see them answering those quality of life issues. Please support the contract and get behind the Lawrence Patrolmen's Association. Thank you for your time.
The next person on the list is Tom Cuddy.
Good evening, Councilors. Thomas Cuddy, 90 Lowell Street. By way of full disclosure, I am a member of this union as well, and more importantly, I am off duty tonight because I'm here on another matter at the request of Councilor Infante, so declare all that up out of the gate. I too, like Marco, want to congratulate you for your re-election and election to this council. I think it takes a lot of courage to put your name on the ballot at the beginning, and then when you get elected and the fun begins, and a lot of sacrifices you all make for your families and for the city. So I thank you and I congratulate for you. Just along the lines of what Marco said, over the past several years, we hired approximately 80 new police officers, many Latinos, many who grew up here, many who went to school here, many who served this country in the military and are serving this country in the military. That's a great number. It's exciting for everybody, but we've lost about 25. And while they do extraordinary police work, outstanding police work, the thing I want to focus on tonight is the role models they are for the young men and women in this city who are so in need of positive role models. And two individuals in particular that I want to single out that are no longer part of the department. One is a Methuen police officer and one is a Massachusetts State Trooper. They both, on their own, ran a dodgeball tournament. I think many of you went to it and attended it. And all the proceeds from that dodgeball tournament went directly to scholarships for students at Lawrence High School. And again, these are the same guys, and many of them are here, that go to the boys' club on their own time, and Boys and Girls Club, and mentor students, and shadow students, and partake in all these community events, just to be in touch with the young men and women in the city that need positive role models. This contract brings us close to par with other departments that they're leaving for. It's long overdue. As Marco said, there's a lot of blame to go along over the years. Some of it's on us and the things we've accepted over the years. But the fact of the matter is this will go a long way to sustain the department, to sustain the people who are joining the department, and they will not go to other departments. And again, to be positive role models to the children of this city that need positive role models in their life like that. So I urge you to please vote favorably for the funding for this contract. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Kelly Stanswaski. And address for the record, please.
I'm sorry?
Name and address for the record,
Kathy
please.
Staniszewski, 47 Hamlet Street. Good evening, councilors. I was just wanted to talk about 2124. It's showing up as old business. Last meeting it was on as new business, but that meeting was canceled. So there was no discussion regarding this. My question is that you want no parking on Salem Street. I'm a resident. I live on a school, and I don't think it's fair that you're bumping residents off of streets in front of their houses for a school. And yes, you know, you can roll your eyes, but I've been living it for 10 years. I've been through Councilor Toomey, Councilor Abdu, and now Councilor Infante. It's taken me nine months to get 2 signs on a one-way street to actually match. And it should never happen that way. So if you say that you're going to put signs on Salem Street and it's only going to affect drop-off and pick-up, I want to know why there wasn't a drop-off and a pickup at, you know, on Hamlet Street. And who's going to put the signs up, and are they going to match? So that would be my question there.
The next person on the agenda is Rich Russell.
Good evening, councilors. My name's Richard Russell. I reside at 34 Cross Street. I must mention to all of you right now, I am now a board member at LCAT. The comments that I make about LCAT are mine and mine alone. As of right now, I have knowledge that Channel 22 is now broadcasting. Who is doing the broadcasting? Because I understand that in order to broadcast a cable channel under the PEG rules, there has to be a 501c3. Who is the 501c3 that's doing it? When our present mayor campaigned for mayor, he used the phrase in his campaign, now it's the people's turn. In view of what's happening with the LCAT situation, I would like to ask, people's turn for what? I'm a Comcast/Infinity cable subscriber. When will the $5.93 in franchise fee and franchise costs be removed from the cable bill, or my cable bill? As I understand it, the PEG channels under the federal rules and regulations are required to be run by 501c3 nonprofits. As I understand this situation involving LCAT in the city, it will be undergoing litigation. Litigation is defined as the process of taking legal action. If the situation isn't in court right now, litigation has not commenced. Therefore, the citizens of Lawrence have the right to know what kind of political and financial chicanery is going on. Can anyone tell me, and give me an explanation as to why the City Hall needs multicolored lights? I have noticed that they're working on a second row of lights on the building. If we have any more lights on this building, it's going to look like a carnival ride. Another one of the mayor's campaign promises was his administration will be transparent. And all I can say to that, transparency, where art thou? Continuing on to the brighter side of city happenings, I would like to thank DPW Director Jorge Jaime and the work of the DPW in trying to keep up with temporarily filling potholes in the city. Councilors, I leave you with this thought. You are the city's only protection against wasteful spending by this administration. As always, I thank you for the time.
All right, the next person on the list is Joseiri Santos. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, councilors. Joseiri Santos, 15 M Street. I'm here because on the matter of item number 47523, my name was mentioned during the last meeting because they said that I failed to submit the financial part, which was not required in the application, and I have it, and I'm available to demonstrate that I'm a solid candidate, and I am here to submit the paperwork. I also have a construction plan for the property of 4 Pleasure Way and the estimate cost.
All right, all these names going to be submitted for the records. Please notice that the scheduled regular meeting, the first scheduled meeting for March 5th, 2024, will be canceled due to the presidential primary election that is going to occur on the same day. We just want to disclose that for the record. We are going to proceed with the agenda. We have no public hearings at this point. And we have one pending matter that we would like to bring up out of the table matters. Councilors, I'm looking forward to get a motion to untable item 10522.
So moved.
There is a motion on the table, the motion in front of us, a properly second to untable item 10522, which is the reclassification of the chief administrative officer, a position from the mayor's office, and it was sent out by our city attorney, and he is here in front of us. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. You may proceed.
So this is a procedural matter. What I have this here for is, as you can see, this is under a matter pending a public hearing. There is no requirement for a public hearing here, so it's on the wrong list. It's been there for some time, so I figured I would bring it to your attention that there's never going to be a public hearing, there's no requirement for a public hearing, so this should go on your regular list for a hearing. Just remove it from your public hearing. I don't know if you want to put it on for your next meeting as a regular agenda item, but there is no requirement to put this. This is just a move within the ranks. There's no requirement for a public hearing.
I have a quick question, if councilors allow me to. Is this a modification of an ordinance? Well,
Is
are
it-
we going
is
to
it-
change
no,
an
this is-
ordinance regarding to this?
No, this is a modification of the plan we adopted for the payment plan.
The reclassification?
The classification of the job and what jobs are in what particular, A, B, C, D, or E. This is the request of the mayor's office to remove this from section B to section A.
And that's not part of the ordinance?
No, there's no, the ordinance, well, you adopted that as part of an ordinance, so this is part of the class, they're asking you to amend the plan that you adopted.
So essentially, we'll change an ordinance.
You will change the classification plan which
Which
was
is an
adopted by
ordinance.
this.
Which
Yes,
is an ordinance, right?
yes.
Then my assumption is that you require public hearings for when you change an ordinance.
The way it's been determined is we do not need a public hearing. You're not changing the whole, because it would be too cumbersome to have a change every time. That's why you adopted the personnel plan, is so that in order to change that, you could just do it by vote of the council, without having to do, each individual item wasn't adopted by an ordinance. The plan was adopted by the ordinance, so the internal machinations of changing it would not require the same public hearing. You do it the same way you would do anything else, you do it by vote of the city council.
Councilors, according to our city solicitor, we don't require a public hearing, even though it is important to disclaim that anything that the council desire to actually order a public hearing, inviting the public to come and speak, it is an option. So if they desire to go that route, they can.
Whatever you do, I'm just saying that it's languished in here because I think people
Yeah.
it was sent to me. I'm not the proponent of this, just so you know, that it was just sent to me for my opinion. My opinion, I've given my opinion that you don't need a public hearing, and you can place it on your regular agenda. You can have a public hearing if you want, but I think just having it languish right here, we should move it someplace.
All right, I leave it up to the council, to the councilors what they wanted to do. If they want to move it to the regular session, I don't know how we get here. So it says that it's pending public hearings, but I mean, up to the councilors. So if there is anything that we would like to recommend us to discuss, or perhaps to,
I would recommend you return it to for your next meeting, return it to your regular schedule, and have a discussion, have the mayor's office come and give the information of why they want to present this, why they want this to go forward, and have a regular hearing like you would on any other item.
all right, we'll discuss this forward. We're going on top of the agenda. We have no communication from the mayor's city officials or the city attorney. We have the committee report, and the first committee report that we're going to go is going to be the Budget and Finance Committee. Madam Chair and Vice President from the Budget and Finance Committee, Councilor District E, Stephanie Infante.
Point of parliamentary, Mr. President. I got a question regarding process, Mr. President.
Sure.
The city attorney just came up and made a recommendation that the council is not required to have a public hearing on this matter. We did not act on it at all, and you asked what we should do with it. I believe there was a vote by the city council to order a public hearing. I think parliamentary, if we had a vote on it, we would probably need to rescind that vote, and whoever was on the prevailing side may want to suspend the rules and then vote in favor of rescinding that vote. And then I would recommend to go into under old business if that's the desire of the council, so we can have a discussion at our next meeting, since we've already gone through the committee assignments, the committee process on it.
We're going to move forward on this item 10532, as the council desire at that point, which is ordering a public hearing, and nine councilors voted in favor of ordering the public hearing. On the next meeting, probably, we might have this public hearing published, and then we can have the discussion.
I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules to allow for a motion to reconsider.
There is a motion on the table, properly second, for reconsideration. It's properly second, is in order. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. What is the motion?
I'd like to make a motion that make a motion that we do not order a public hearing on this matter, and that it be put on the next city council agenda as under old business.
There is a motion on the table to rescind the vote in regard to the public, when we order the public hearing. It is in order. Can I hear a second?
Second.
Properly second, discussion. I hear no discussion. At this point, I call the questions, and I would like to request a roll call. Roll call, please.
Councilor Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Marmal.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Luzon.
Yes.
Councilor LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Council Vice President Infante.
Yes.
Council President Rodriguez.
I vote on the affirmative. We received the vote to order, and we're going to proceed by placing this item on the old business for next agenda.
Thank you very much.
No problem. There is no communication from the mayor, city officer, or city attorney, and the committee report, as we call it, we're going to go to the Budget and Finance Committee.
Council President.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Through you, Council President, I would actually like to start off with the Personnel Committee, given there's only one item, and there's a few items for the Budget and Finance, and these are the only two committees that have reports tonight.
Madam Chair of the Personnel Committee, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. The Personnel Committee met last week, and we had one agenda item, Agenda Item 58-2024, the reappointment of Patrick Driscoll to the Lawrence Housing Authority, brought to us by Mayor DePena and the Executive Director, Efren Rulon. The committee voted unanimously in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion on the table. It's properly second. Discussion.
Discussion.
Madam Chair from the Personnel Committee, Stephanie
Thank you.
Infante.
We do have Mr. Pat Driscoll here with us tonight. One thing, I don't know if the whole city council knows this, but he's also a Lawrence firefighter, and we thank him for his service as a firefighter and also on this board. And if you have a few comments that you would like to make.
Pat Driscoll, 60 Rollins Street, lifelong resident of the city of Lawrence, 35-year member of the Lawrence Fire Department. It's been my pleasure over the last 10, 15 years to serve as a member of the Lawrence Housing Authority. I think we've done some really good things to improve the quality of life for a lot of people in the city of Lawrence. And I'd just like to continue the work that we've been doing, and I'm here to answer any questions that anybody has.
Councilors, any questions for the candidates? I have one, maybe a question, suggestion, or perhaps a comment. There is, sometimes there is no much of a coordination or perhaps a collaboration between the Housing Authority and the City Council. I would like somehow things change a little bit, either party could start a conversation.
Myself or any member of the committee, or I know that the director from Roll-On is here tonight. We'd love to have any participation that we can have with the city council, be available to answer any questions. I have an email on the city website. Anybody ever wants to meet with me, talk to me, discuss things that are happening within the Lawrence Housing Authority, I'd always make myself available. You know that last time we were all here together, I was here till wee hours of the morning. I have a very resilient person, here very early because I know the parking tonight is never advantageous, but I would always make myself available if anybody had any questions, concerns, or suggestions for the Lawrence Housing Authority.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, with the director, Mr. Rollon, we have access to talk to him and to talk to the Housing Authority, but it's different when you talk to the board, because you are...
We have an open meeting every month that anybody is welcome to come and attend. It's the second Tuesday of the month, like clockwork, but sometimes, just like the Lawrence council meetings, we have changes, but anybody that ever has any questions or needs anything, I'm always available.
All right, great.
Or you can find me at 480 Howard Street at the firehouse.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for your service, by all means.
Council
You're
President.
welcome.
Councilors,
Council President, so through you,
Councilor Plant?
this is a volunteer board?
We do get a stipend, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. We've been on this board for 10 years, as I told you before, and this is very quick, 10 years. And in the business that we're in public service, we always hear the complaints. We rarely hear you did a really good job on something. So I've heard nothing bad about the job that you've been doing. So to me, that means you're doing something right, because if you were doing something wrong, I would hear about it.
Thank you.
So thank you for your continuous service. We appreciate it, and thank you for all that you're doing for the residents of the city.
Thank you.
Any other questions coming? All right, at this time, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, councilors. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Madam Chair, from the Budget and Finance Committee, Stephanie Infante.
Okay, the Budget and Finance Committee met last week. The first agenda item we had was agenda item 24-24, the authorization to expend funds in the amount of $129,000 for the Stormwater Asset Management Grant through the Mass DEP, and we do have Commissioner Hale with us tonight.
Council President, I'd like to recuse myself from this vote for potential conflict of interest. Thank you.
Good evening,
Okay,
councilors.
hold on. The committee voted unanimously in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion on the table, and there is a motion in front of us. Can you hear a second? Properly second. Discussion?
Good evening.
Commissioner?
Discussion.
So I have a handout, so I just want to give this to you
Sure.
guys. Plus we have the slideshow. All right, so tonight, William Hale, Water and Sewer Commissioner, 7 Agnes Terrace, Methuen, Mass. Tonight, we're here to get authorization to expend our grant funds in the amount of $129,000. This is for our asset management planning grant, which is going to help us get more of our assets into GIS.
Go ahead.
So we had a request to give you information of what we've had accomplished since 2016, what was mentioned in the grant. So we just wanted to briefly go over some of the accomplishments. We've been able to add 1,000 manholes, 35 miles of storm water drainage pipe, and over 3,000 catch basins to our GIS, which is our mapping system. So at any given time, we can go on our iPad and we can see all of our assets in that system. That's huge for us to be able to identify where our assets are, which is all part of the grant to keep going forward with this. We've had recommended focus areas for additional condition assessments. So once we break ground with this grant, we want to go and continue in the investigations in areas that we had already identified, but we didn't have the funding to do so. During the illicit discharge detection program, we were able to inspect 400 manholes and investigate 227,000 linear feet of storm drain. And we also were able to clear 166,000 linear feet, which means basically we cleared that no sewage is going into that drain pipe, which ultimately leads to the river, which is huge. This is a big part of the program. One of the big accomplishments was they did a comprehensive study on the Spigot River behind the DPW yard. So we have that model available, so we can do work in the future there. There's three or four different options. We do our ongoing sweeping and catch basin cleaning, and then we're also going for an MVP grant in the future to help to do more like construction type work, more flow monitoring and things, but this is going to help us to break ground right away. And then as you can see, there was over $9.1 million spent on our SSES program, which is Source System Evaluation Study. And then $1.2 million which was the illicit discharge detection and elimination program to get sewage out of the river. $32 million spent on rehabilitation or replacement of 16 miles of sewer pipe, which it's not drained, but at the same time, it does help reduce the flooding by increased capacity. And then we found 38 illicit connections that were sewer tied into our drainage, and we were able to eliminate those from 2016 till now. And then we just got a $410,000 loan through the state revolving fund, which we're going to continue on with our camera investigation work. And I have Zach Henderson here from Woodard and Curran tonight. So he's our consultant. He's a stormwater practice leader. And he was going to give us an overview of what it's going to take to fund some of these projects. Because we do a lot of studying, but to get the construction part of it done, this is where the stormwater utility would come in.
Good evening, councilors. Zach Henderson from Woodard and Curran. And Billy left me with the difficult task of how to fund improvements once we identify challenges in the system. So the obvious outcome of the asset management planning grant would be to identify deficiencies in the drainage system that cause flooding, that could fail prematurely, have pipelines fail prematurely. So the outcome of this next phase of work will identify additional needs that right now the city may not necessarily be aware of. So Commissioner Hale asked me to come and speak a little bit to some of the different ways that communities in Massachusetts are financing stormwater programs, because right now in the city of Lawrence, most of the financing for your stormwater program comes from the sewer ratepayer. and that's not necessarily the most equitable way to finance programs. So generally and typically, the most common way for communities to fund this is through a general fund. So most communities do this across the country. There's obviously challenges with that. That competes with other very important community priorities, fire, police, other necessities in a community. And oftentimes, as you can imagine, stormwater drainage isn't the most exciting thing until it's flooding, which you guys have experienced quite a bit this last summer. Go back just one slide, Bill. So that's a common way to do it. It's not always the fairest way to do it, because then people don't equally pay for the stormwater use or the use of the stormwater system. There's also special assessment districts. Those are pretty common for sewer and water. They're not as common for sewer, for storm sewer. Those are typically assessed based on the betterment, the improvement that takes place, and the people that get the benefit of that improvement pay for it. There's obviously grants and loans. Cities taking advantage of the State Clean Water, SRF, the State Revolving Loan Fund. That's a very successful program nationally that helps to fund sewer and stormwater, but it's not necessarily a long-term sustainable funding source, and typically you have to have local generated revenue in order to match those funds, which you do in the sewer program, but you don't in the stormwater program. And then finally, and this is much more common outside of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but over the last number of years has become much more common, is a Stormwater Enterprise Fund. This is a dedicated funding location only for stormwater, and the funding of this enterprise fund is made through individual property owners based on how much stormwater they would generate, or a surrogate measure of that. Stormwater Enterprise Fund sometimes is also called a stormwater utility or stormwater utility fee. It can be an organizational entity as well, so it could be a water, sewer, and stormwater commissioner that would have staff focused on that storm drain system dedicated for drainage and flood control purposes. And so Commissioner Hill asked me to just talk a little bit about other communities that have done this work. It is legal in the state to do this, and you can see there's about 25 and maybe a few more than that now across the state that have and do have a user fee associated with the storm drain system and are generating annual revenue dedicated for improvements to that system. The next one. And so lastly, I'll leave you with this, is just, why think about a different way to fund stormwater? The obvious benefit here is that if you have a local way to generate revenue, then you can match more grants and loans, so that makes that very attractive. But also, like, if you are underfunding this particular system, and some of the problems that you all saw this summer are because you have limited capacity in the system, it's antiquated, there's failures within the system. If you don't have a dedicated way to fund it, it's going to be very hard to make those improvements. No magic wand will solve it. Climate is very much a challenge for us. And in a reactive program, you're spending a lot more money fixing things than in a proactive program where you're taking care of them, and that's typical of any type of utility system. So if you do nothing, there's a lot more costs that could befall the city. Public safety and water quality can be compromised, and in some cases, regulatory non-compliance. There are regulatory programs that are driving communities to maintain and manage the system. So we just wanted to kind of introduce you to that and to the concept of funding for stormwater and dedicated funding for stormwater, and certainly happy to answer any questions if we need to do that tonight.
Councilors, we just have a presentation about this grant. There is any questions or comments in regard to this item? Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you. Commissioner, what would be the user fee if this were to be implemented?
I mean, for a typical single-family home is roughly, I believe, around $15 per quarter. That's what I've seen for, it depends on the impervious surface of the area as well. So it's, Mount Vernon homes, if you have a lot of grass compared to an inner city home, it's different.
And we're just introducing the concept today. None of the real important work has been done to determine what that fee structure would look like, how you would do it. So that would all come later. The benefit of this grant that you have in front of you that you're authorizing today would give you some additional data to know what your needs are, what the cost of a program would be, and then you can back into the fee structure. So the most important element of this is to figure out what your needs are first, and then we can have the conversation about what a fee is. It's probably a little premature to talk about numbers at this point in time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that is also important to mention on there, as you ask for the fees, that the town of Yarmouth and Gloucester, they have a fund established, but not necessarily a fee structure on that, so that's something that we might consider at the beginning. Any other questions or concern about this item, councilors? All right, at this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you. The next item is item 26-24, the modification of ordinance number 02.04.081, temporary appointments. We voted to withdraw this from the committee as this was accidentally put on the Budget and Finance agenda, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion to withdraw. Can I hear a second?
Second.
Properly second. Discussion. There is no discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Madam Chair, from the Budget and Finance Committee, item 5024.
Item 5024 is to pay prior year's bills in the amount of $1,200 from the Lawrence Family Development and Educational Fund. This was brought to us by our clerk, Eileen Bernal. The committee voted in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion on the table. Can you hear a second? Properly second. Discussion. I hear none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Madam Chair, from the Budget and Finance Committee.
51-24, the authorizations to expend the amount of $247,000 of grant funds from the Massachusetts Office of Disability through the 2024 ADA grants, and the committee voted in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
All right, councilors, there is a motion on the table. Properly second. Discussion. I hear no discussion. At this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Madam Chair, from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Sorry, the printer cut off some of my numbers here. So item 52-24, the authorizations to expend in the amount of $15,000 for the Title III grant from the Massachusetts Office of Elder Affairs was brought to us by Director Martha Velez, and the committee voted in favor of, Sorry. Item 52-24, the authorization to expend in the amount of $1,576 for the formula grant from the Massachusetts Office of Elder Affairs. This was brought to us by Director Martha Velez, and the committee voted in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion on the table. Properly second. Discussion, councilors.
We do have Director Velez here. Do you would like to say anything, or you?
It's important, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Welcome again. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. The only thing I am going to say is to the audience and to everybody, as we sit here and we thank all the police officers and their union contract, is to think about the census. Every 10 years, the census comes to us, and it is the only time that we have our voices to make sure that money comes to our city directly to give us services, whether it's police department, fire department, housing, supermarkets, schools, roads, and those of us that complain about everything, you know, that the public and government, federal government doesn't listen to us. When we fill out our census, they have to listen, because numbers are what tells them where to give money to. So that's the only thing I would like, and thank you for taking me in.
Thank you for the information. And at this point, councilors, there is one little thing that I would like to mention on this item. Each senior that we have in the city of Lawrence, we are getting $14 per senior, and that's times 14,000, almost 15,000 seniors that we have in the city. We are receiving these $198,576. Is that correct?
Correct, for the counted seniors.
Yes, for the
We're not
counted
counting the seniors that did not fill out the census.
Exactly.
It's $14 a year per senior is what the city gets from the state.
Yes. So councilors, at this point, any other questions? At this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Now, Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay, now, item 53-24, the authorizations to expend $15,000 for the Title III grant from the Massachusetts Office of Elder Affairs, brought to us by Director Valdez, and the committee voted in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion on the table. Can I hear a second?
Second.
Properly second. Councilor, discussion on this item?
Discussion. Director Valdez.
This grant is given to us by HSPAN, and this is to do community policing with elders and safety issues and how to protect themselves, and hopefully also have a self-defense class.
All right, we are the information, councilors. Any questions in regard to this item? I hear none, so at this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 54-24, the authorization to expend $50,000 for the Project Safe Neighborhood Grant with the Massachusetts State Police was brought to us by Director Rosa Shepard. Shepard from the Lawrence Police Department. The Budget and Finance Committee voted in favor of this, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion on the table for item 5424. Can you hear a second?
Second.
Properly second. Discussion.
Discussion.
We have Rosa Shepard here with us, the Director of the Support Services for the City of Lawrence Police. So by all means, explain to us a little more about this grant.
Sure. This grant, like I mentioned in the last city council meeting, is given to us almost every year. We're cordially invited to participate in this type of programs. And this time, we're invited by the State Police Department for $50,000. It will help our gang unit, deaf department, to fight the violence and the drugs on the streets of the city of Lawrence.
Right, councilors, there is an item in front of us for that Project Safe Neighborhood Grant. Any questions in regard to this item? Any discussions? At this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item, Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee, item 5524.
55-24, the authorization to expend $759,400 and amend the contract for fiscal year '24 for the Safe and Successful Youth Initiative program from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, brought to us by Director Shepard, and the committee voted in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion in front of us to authorization to spend grant of $759,400. Properly second. Discussion.
Discussion.
Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee and Vice President.
To give Director Shepard the opportunity to speak.
Oh, sorry. This is the SSYI program, or the CSU program, which has been run by the state for the EOPS department. We've been having this grant for probably over 10 years already. The CSU program is a very successful grant here in the city of Lawrence for the Lawrence Family Development or Lawrence Prospera. I know that you have requested information numbers from the last city council meeting, which I was able to obtain. One thing I'm going to say is that I know the beginning was from 17 to 24 youth to help in the city of Lawrence. It has been reduced for 16 to 24. They has been able to establish a basketball program, salon services for those that successfully are able to stay in the program. As well, they get help from the Sueños Basketball and other grants within the state.
Councilors, any questions in regard to this grant? There is no other questions. At this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 5624, Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Item 56-24, the Police Patrolman Union Collective Bargaining Agreement and Fund Transfer Approval in the amount of $1,385,600, and it was brought to us by our CAFA, Mike Iannello. The Budget and Finance Committee voted in favor of this item, and I make that as a formal motion.
There is a motion in front of us to approve item 5624. It's properly second. I open the floor for discussion.
Discussion.
Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you. I would like Mr. Iannello to please take the podium.
Good evening, councilors.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Iannello, I believe in this contract, there's hazard pay included, correct?
Not hazard pay.
No. Okay, so maybe I got
Hang on
that
a
wrong.
second, let me.
I could have sworn this was included.
We have a lot of things in the contract, but I don't think there was anything called hazard pay. I think maybe what you're referring to is the post-commission fee or post-commission provision.
Hold on, let me, maybe that is.
I can recap it quickly for the
Yes, can you
councilors.
please?
There's the one-page or two-page synopsis, which just summarizes the memorandum of understanding. This is a 3-year contract. There's a provision to the overtime, allowing 2 hours pay of straight time. There's a civil service section where the union and the city agree to withdraw from civil service pending negotiating mutually agreeable terms for promotion, discipline, and layoff. There's an education incentive, as referred to as the Quinn Bill. So we have that provision for all patrol officers beginning on July 1, 23, retroactive back to July 1, 23. There's a section of holidays adding Juneteenth as a paid holiday. There's a section for post-commission. I think we discussed this at the Budget and Finance, but the post-commission place some additional burdens on police officers, so it's been customary for many municipalities to offer some type of a pay increase to reflect that additional burden. So we have retroactive to 7/1/23, we have a 1.75% increase for those with less than 20 years of service and 2.25% pay increase for those with 20 or more years of service. And then we have the same thing for 7/1/24. In addition, we have a police academy provision where if someone leaves the police department within 3 years, that person will repay or reimburse the city for the cost of the police academy, the tuition of the police academy. We have a health insurance opt-out, which all the other unions, the language similar to all the other unions, which has been accepted by this union. There's a vacation provision, just making clear that in their agreement, they have, if the superior officers has a more favorable vacation provision, this union gets the same thing. So this is just making it clear the superior officers last time around had, or the time before, had more favorable terms, so we just made it clear that that applies to this contract as well. There's a maternity leave provision, and then there's a couple of miscellaneous items, and then there's a COLA increase of 3% per year. That's a general synopsis of this 3-year agreement with the patrol union.
Council President.
Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you. I mentioned this at the Budget and Finance level, and I'm going to mention this again. The only part of this contract that I'm still going back and forth on is the civil service part. I did mention at the Budget and Finance level, I have lost a bit of faith in our city being able to hire people. We do have an individual that was released under the Rivera administration due to disciplinary issues, and that individual was rehired. I mean, it's very black and white, and that's the only section of this contract that I'm still going back and forth on in my head.
Well, it's been negotiated between the city and the union, so we're not asking for the city council to approve the civil service provision. We're asking the city council to approve funding of this agreement.
I'm
Just if that
100% aware of that, but I just wanted to reiterate my comment.
Okay.
Through you, Council President,
Councilor Luzon?
you included a letter in the report. Do you mind going over? And basically, my understanding is that, that this contract at some point was not going to be sustainable. And after you, sir, CAFO, that's right. I would like to hear from the union, if possible, Council President.
Sure. We got the administrator from the union.
Good evening, I'm Paul McMillan, President of Lawrence Patrolmen's Association. I have with me Dan Corevia, he is our business agent, he's the parent union to our union. And Dan worked all the numbers, and so I guess you can just fire away. What are you looking for specifically?
First, to you, Council President,
Councilor Luzon?
CAFO included a letter stating that, based on his, CAFO? Yeah, so can he respond to that? And then we'll have you,
Just to bring some clarity to the issue.
please.
Yeah, I can just explain my letter. I have a, part of the provisions of Chapter 58 of the Acts of 2010 requires the CAFO, created the position of CAFO, number one, and number two is, one of my responsibilities is to give an opinion or a certification for any bond authorization, collective agreements in excess of 1 year, and collective bargaining agreements such as this. So I do have in my CAFO certification, I have a qualification, if you will, because the statement I'm supposed to provide is that the city can't afford this contract without any detrimental impact to public services. There's a caveat or a qualification, in my opinion, because with this contract, the cost increase of this contract will exceed the normal limits of Prop 2.5 to fund this agreement. Having said that, so the approving this contract, the city and the city council, in essence, the mayor and the city council agree that the city may, depending on the FY25 budget, 26 budget, and so on, we may have to use some of our excess tax levy capacity, or have to use some reserves to fund this agreement going forward. Obviously, funding it out of reserves is not the recommended, not my recommendation, because the reserves run out. Whereas we do have, thankfully, we have excess tax levy capacity. So if next year, when we prepare the budget I'll be presenting in a couple of months to you, if we have to go above the normal 2.5% tax increase, we'll be recommending that as part of the budget. Or we'll have to use some reserves to balance this next year's budget to pay for this agreement. So that's basically, but we can still afford it. That's why I qualified the opinion, but again, pursuant to Chapter 58, we can afford this agreement because thankfully the city has reserves and the city has an excess tax levy capacity, but it's something that the councilors and the mayor have to be aware of.
Through you, Council President, I would like to hear from the union. Thank you.
Well, I can say as regards to this, the Lawrence Patrolmen's Association and superior officers are the last in the food chain for the contract season, so I take caution to him blaming the police officers for getting a contract. We've worked hard for this. We're trying to keep Lawrence sustainable. We're trying to keep police officers in Lawrence. We've lost 25 police officers due to the wage package here. You've lost all your young talent. You're basically stuck with a bunch of old guys like me. And these kids are good talent. They've gone on to the state police, Methuen Police, other departments, feds. These kids are homegrown from Lawrence, and they want to stay here. They want to live in this community. They can't sustain it based on the wage package that we've had. And I'm not here just crying about money, but if you do if you compare Lawrence to similar cities, Lawrence is at the bottom, and we shouldn't be. and we're just here for a fair contract. And I have Dan Crevier can go into more detail. He did all the comparisons of communities, and that's how we came up with this deal. So Dan's a business agent for the New England Police Benevolent Association, which represents us. They represent 5,000 police officers throughout New England. And
No, and just to bring some clarity to the discussion, it's not that the CAFO is blaming the union of the proposition 2.5 or increasing taxes. We need to clarify that he is required by law when we actually were financial challenges back in 2010, when we have a loan from the state of $27.5 million that authorized that grant with the situation that we need to create a CAFO position, and that person need to tell us as a city whether or not we're going to be able to afford any particular agreement or any particular grant or loan, or any particular loan that we're going to be taking. That's part of his responsibilities, but it's not like he's blaming the union. That's not the intent of we receive these letters every time that we get a loan or something related to that matters. So that's basically advising us as part of his job.
it's a forecast.
Yeah, it's a forecast, yes. But by all means, bring up the numbers. We like numbers.
Thank you. Again, my name's Dan Crevier. I'm the bargaining agent for the NEPBA, which represents the Lawrence Patrol. I do commend Mark for his efforts. I mean, this was 18 months going back and forth. It was quite honestly one of my difficult contracts to get through. But where we started in June of, well, I should say their last contract expired June 30th of 2022. So I take all the comparative numbers. I use comparatives based on, I found them on an old JLMC case that the Lawrence firefighters had compared to Brockton, Lynn, Lowell, similar communities. My findings then for a 5-year patrol officer on June 30th of 2022 was $14,000 below the average, including base pay, longevity, holiday pay, and education. One of the things that I was somewhat amiss was Lawrence was the only community of every contract that I've read in the Commonwealth that did not pay their officers education incentives if they were hired after 2011. Now, whether you know it or not, most communities now, we're negotiating contracts that, you know, the Quinn bill died in 2010. Most communities picked up the slack and paid their officers their education money. Many communities now are offering that full percentages to those officers. This job is not what it was 10 years ago as a police officer. As far as the COLAs, based on all the numbers I had, Lawrence averaged a 1.5% COLA over the last 13 years. The average COLA over just the last 5 years is 2.5. These guys and girls of the Lawrence Police Department, they deserve it. They deserve it. They work timeless. I get phone calls from the group on all the things that they have to do. Many of them don't, you know, they have to stay an extra shift, and they know about it 10 minutes before. Retention and recruitment is one of the biggest obstacles now in law enforcement. For every one officer they're bringing on across the country, there's 1.5 retiring or resigning. So when they tell me that their people are leaving to go to Lowell, to go to Methuen, to go to North Andover or Andover for better paying jobs, I don't blame them. Part of this contract, again, and I do commend Mark, because we had a lot of going back and forth, and the city attorney, Eric McKenna, and I think we've come to a resolution that is not only fair, it benefits the officers, and it's a starting point, in my eyes, for moving forward. When you can hang on to police officers, invest in them, they will invest in the community. And I strongly believe that. Not that they're not invested now, but you have that morale sense that puts you down on the bottom. But when you pay them what the community thinks they're worth, then you may have a tremendous police department. And I've known a lot of these guys for a lot of years, and they're good guys and good police officers. Can I answer any questions?
To you, Council President,
Councilor Luzon.
you explain more about the civil service?
Yes.
What exactly?
In plain English, civil service creates a lot of red tape, if you will, for hiring. And I'll say this, every contract that I've negotiated in the Commonwealth in the last 3 years, they're all coming out of civil service. Civil service, in fact, is starting to change the way they do things. They're going to hopefully, you know, if you came out of civil service to me is only is a hiring mechanism. If you're out of civil service, the city, along with the union, can determine how new officers are selected, how promotions are done. Most everybody that's in the union now still have civil service protection, but we draft the language on discipline. Instead of someone being disciplined and having the option to go to civil service for their hearing, now it can be done with an arbitrator. Me personally, I don't think it has any negative impacts towards the city. I think it loosens up the hiring process. As far as the group goes, we've created language to protect them going forward. I will point out, though, that the superior officers obviously would have to come out as well, because a non-civil service group can't promote into a civil service group. So that's one thing that you guys, as a city and as the negotiations, will have to kind of hurdle. But once you're out, it has to go through, obviously, city council, then the state legislature. And the state legislature, from what I understand, is starting to slow that rubber stamp down a little bit.
So through you, Council President, so you just draft
Luzon.
language and the union is in favor of what we saw in the contract in regards to civil service?
Well, they ratified it, yes, ma'am. Yes, so,
May I hear?
I'm sorry.
I think what she's trying to say is, basically, all that is in the contract is just language. If we ever come to that point where they say, hey, we're thinking about getting out of civil service, we already have language saying, okay, if we want to do that, you have to sit down with us and negotiate with us. And then we'll come up with a plan, we'll draft a hiring process, promotion process, layoff process. So it doesn't just happen like that, like we'll draft the language. It's already been done in other departments, we already have a template of how we're going to do things. And then I know how you're feeling about that officer being hired and stuff. Yeah, there'll be safeguards, just like there's supposed to be with civil service, but there will be a process that'll eventually come out. But that's just language to talk down the road.
Council President?
Councilor Luzon.
So we also asked the union, the firefighter union, to, we basically asked them to express an honest opinion about how you felt during the negotiation. Do you mind?
Sure. Just so you know, I've been a police officer 30 years next month. I've come from another department. I've been here in Lawrence 20 years. I've never settled a contract on time when the contract expires. I've been on the union board, not as president, but on the union board since 2010. I became president in 2021. This was quicker than last time. As Mark Orella said, it was 5 years, which was ridiculous. This is almost 2 years, which I still think is 2 years too long. I wish we could get down to it quicker, because I started speaking with the mayor 6 months prior to the contract expiring, and we wanted to get a jump on it. And here we are coming up on 2 years. So we did 32 meetings, minimum of 2 hours. So, you know, Mark was there. It was contentious at times, but, you know, he's got a job to do. We got a job to do. I only wish we could just speed it up so when the time comes your contract expires, you're ready to go. And then I think, the city's not going to have to save money or scramble to find money for all the contracts. My personal opinion, I think the city should split the city in half and, do so many contracts. Not all at once, and I don't think it'll be such a burden, but he's the money guy, not me. But that's, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, we would like to go with Councilor LaPlante.
I got a question and two comments regarding the removal of civil service. Does that require city council approval, or is that just a function of the mayor in negotiations with the unions?
It still has to be, yeah, home rule petition through, yes. And then it would go to the legislature.
So just so we have some, through you, Mr. President, home rule petition means it has to come before the city council for us to take a vote on it, but ultimately, it's the state legislature and the governor who makes the final decision of whether or not we do it or not. But still, usually it requires a vote coming from this body. All right, that's question one. I also want to echo and support the Vice President on her comments regarding the civil service. I'm open to it. However, I have lots of questions, and the loss of confidence is with me as well. So, open, but I need to hear more. And if we ever go down that road, there needs to be a lot of more discussions and understandings of how things go.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not really a question, it's more of a comment, unless you have a reaction. But the third thing, the second thing is we should always be alarmed by the words excess levy capacity. Those are three words that should scare all of us. Because what that means is, and Mr. the Capo will correct me if I'm wrong, please do. But what that means is that beyond the 2.5% by which we can go up to in taxes every year, we have a buffer of money that we have not gone to the capacity over years, that we can go beyond the 2.5. We can reach into, and without going to the taxpayers for a vote, an override, we can go to the excess levy capacity and take a vote. So while it's very good that our taxes aren't always up every year, but that excess levy capacity continues to grow, and whether it's this council or this mayor or the next council or the next mayor, there may be a time that there's going to be people sitting where we're sitting and someone sitting upstairs in the third floor that's going to be able to just do it based on a discussion and a debate right here without going for a vote. So we should always be cautious when the words excess levy capacity is used. Finally, point. It is about time we got to this point. It is about time, and I'll tell you for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons. Let me just touch on one that the managing agent, I think is your title, stressed on, is retention issues. We are spending so much money on training our police officers. We give them training, experience, then they leave. And then we do it again. And then we do it again. And then we do it again. Every time we do that, we are losing and spending a lot of money that's redundant. We're losing experience and we're spending excess money. What I don't know, and here's the question, I guess, what I don't know is, what is the impact, have you done an evaluation of if this contract has been ratified, if we fund the contract, which is what we're voting on, if we fund the contract tonight, has there been any analysis done on, are we going to stem the tide? Are we going to stop the bleeding of our police officers going elsewhere? Do we have any kind of data that can give us confidence that funding this contract is going to make that difference?
Just to that point, the first hurdle you've jumped over is the education money. Approving this contract with the education money, you have 35 or 37 officers now that don't get a dime for their education that will receive benefits. As far as the comparatives, including that education money into the comparatives and the 3% COLA, these guys are no longer at the very bottom of the list, but they're nowhere near the middle. I'm just saying there's still some room to go, but you have made it substantially more appealing to those that are staying there. And I'll leave
Right.
Paul, because he speaks to the people.
So ever since the last 2 years, I told the last chief, well, two chiefs, Chief Vask, when I became president, I said, you're going to have an issue with all these new kids coming in. I said, they're going to leave. And he said, why? I said, because of the wage package, the benefits here in Lawrence, they're stagnant. We haven't done anything. We kept taking zeros. You know, we had the layoffs in 2010. It took us 10 years. So when I transferred over here in 2004, there was 160 cops. And it took us to, a couple of years ago, Dave, I believe you had the numbers. It took us all those years to get to 160 again, and now we're down again because guys kept leaving. I told them 20 cops. I was wrong, but my guess was good. It was an educated guess. We've lost 25. And every cop I've talked to has left. It's not because they hate working here, they hate their boss. It's because of the money. These are all young kids. They're all starting out to have families. They're trying to buy a house in Lawrence, and everybody's seen the real estate prices. It's just unsustainable. And when you get out of the academy, you go to an academy with 60, 70 guys, and you find out that you're making $20,000 less than the guy doing the same job working in some podunk town where there's no crime and there's no activity. You know, the city's always moving. It's a 24-hour city, and they see their friends working this other town doing nothing. It's hard to swallow.
The number was, through you, Mr. President, the number was 25 over how much time?
2 years.
Over 2 years. We lost 25 people over 2 years.
So 25, yeah, so you paid $3,000 to $5,000 each guy just for training, plus, you know, clothing, the time they were in the academy, you know, making $15 an hour, and then all that time, then it's another 3 months FTO. So you're training a kid for about a year, and then he's lasting a year and a half, 2 years, they're just leaving.
And what's your expectation at this point? Are we
From
going
what
to see
I've
25
talked
leaving?
about-
Are we going to see 5 leave? I mean, have you done any projections? Have you talked
If I
to
had to
your
guess,
union ranks
you
to
might
find
see
out?
1 or 2. They've already been in the making before this contract was settled, but I will tell you this, the vote was 106 to 4 to pass. And the main thing when I became union president was, I'm like, what are you guys, you know, what are we looking for? And they're like, we got to increase the pay and we need an education incentive. Everybody, you know, there's plenty of kids here with bachelor's degrees and master's degrees that are being paid far less than older guys and far less than people in other communities. And the main drive for people leaving Lawrence Police is, it's not the work, it's not the city, it's compensation package.
Last question, Mr. President. Do you expect with this compensation package that we will actually, rather than exporting police officers, maybe importing?
I think you will,
police officers?
because I'll tell you what, the state police train their new cops here. When they get on their field training, they come to Lawrence. You see, that's when you see all the state police around, every time there's a graduation class, because this is a great place to work. It's very busy. You got speeders, you know, unregistered cars, you have shoplift, you have a million things going on. That's why they come here. And we're well-known within the law enforcement community. I've been on a long time. Everybody loves the Lawrence Police. They love coming up here. They have fun. They know all of us. They come out and they work and they help us out. So even the years when we were down low, the state police was helping us out. We had the sheriff's department on certain things that would help out. But the surrounding communities would come in. So when it gets crazy in the middle of the night, when there's only 6 cops working in Lawrence, Methuen police come in and help us out. When Methuen has a problem, we go over there. So it's...
On behalf of the 15,000 people that I represent in District F, thank you guys and gals for all that you do for our city. We appreciate it, and thanks for making it safe. It's not an easy place. It's not an easy place to be a police officer. A, B, it's not an easy time to be a police officer. I read the headlines. I know what's going around the country. I know there's a lack of respect for the people that wear blue, and quite frankly, I'm glad to see. I don't think that's impacting our city. Thank goodness. I think that there's a lot of respect for our police officers here in the city of Lawrence, and I think that's fantastic. And they grow. There's space for improvement. But I know it's a tough place to be in when you have to when you got to, you know, enforce our laws and try to educate folks to be
Absolutely.
to do the right thing. So thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you very
President.
much.
Thank you to the police officers.
Councilor Rosario?
Thank you, Council President. Through you, just a couple of comments. Exit level capacity has scared all of us, but I'm ashamed that some of us were actually advocating to get that exit level capacity go through elections without thinking of you, because it wasn't to get you a raise or a negotiation. And some of us are sitting right here with us now talking about exit level capacity. Piggyback right in what Councilor LaPlante was saying, it was about time. It was about time for you guys to get paid. I'm ashamed also to live in a city where you guys work harder than anybody else, and you have been through a lot. And some of the other administration did not think or raise your salaries. And you say it took long, it took 32 hours, something, 32 days, 45 days.
Yeah, 32 meetings, a minimum of 2 hours apiece.
Minimum 2 hours apiece, but we got it done. So we got it done. So I want to thank the administration that actually set out with you through 32 minutes. The CAFO that was there, the provincial chief of police or whoever got sitting with you together and get this done, because you guys deserve it. And now thinking of extra levy capacity, yeah, it scared all of us, because we're thinking about votes.
I know, we think the same thing.
That's what
too.
we're thinking about, votes. But some of us was trying to get it through elections. 2.5 without no excuses, no reason. If they put it in the ballot that it was to raise your salary, people would vote for it. But they didn't. So once again, thank you for all you do, and it's about time. And I'm really happy that you guys got what you deserve. And then we'll figure it out how we're going to deal with the extra levy capacity if we need to deal with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Mama.
I would like to thank you for your service as well, and having an understanding as to how contract negotiations work and how exhausting it is. I'm intrigued if you're able to disclose. Yeah. I want to thank you for your service and having an understanding as to how contract negotiations work and how exhausting it is. I'm intrigued to hear from you if you're able to disclose if there were a variety of issues or something specific that caused for this contract to take this long.
Well, in all actuality, it's actually the fastest one I've had since I've been a cop in Lawrence, so it was quick, considering. Like, the last one was 5 years, the one before that was like 4 years. I started out with a conversation with the mayor in his office. I took in a couple of guys from my executive board, and basically, he said, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, you need to know the history of the Lawrence Police. I know he's been in the city, but I said, you need to know, we're going to go back to 2009, when the Quinn bill was taken, the education incentive. 2010, Lawrence was on the chopping block. We lost 25 police officers in one day, and we also lost a bunch of guys retired because of the education incentive. So in one day, we lost 40 officers. So we went from having a full complement of police officers on the street to we were running four cars on the road. And at that time, some of you might remember, we didn't go to a lot of calls. We only went to emergency 911 calls. If your house got broken into, we took it over the phone. As long as no one was in your house, come down to the station, report it. If your car was stolen, come down to the station, report it, because there was only 4 or 5 of us on the road to answer, like a major car accident, domestic violence, somebody doing a robbery, and it was chaos. And that was the summer we had either 12 or 13 murders. And the next year was the same thing. We had another 12 murders. And when you think about murders, that's a lot of murders for 6 square miles. The state of New Hampshire doesn't have 12 murders in a year. So you got to look at it that way. Vermont doesn't have that many murders in here. We were having them in Lawrence. I was still a detective back then. That summer, we had 39 shootings. Not shots fired, 39 people hit with bullets on top of those murders. I just kept coming in every night. I was on a call. We were all coming in. It was ridiculous. And the city was just chaos. There was open drug deals. You'd drive by, they were dealing drugs, but we didn't have the manpower to jump out and grab 4 or 5 guys, because there was 4 of us working. And we didn't announce it. We didn't want everybody to know. I think they figured it out when we weren't doing much, but that's how bad it was. And then to get where we were, and we're just trying to build off and make it better and better, and then we started seeing the 25 guys leaving. So then I explained that to the mayor, and he said, fine. Then we started negotiations. Negotiations, it's a give and take. The city's looking for this, we're looking for that. And basically, I told them, we're not really looking for anything. We're looking for a better wage, and the college incentive was the big thing. And we just kept harping on it, and I think that's going to retain the officers, because they put in their dues going to college. There's some still in college now, and they're like, do I finish? I'm like, yeah, you finish. You always want to get your degree, but this is just an incentive to keep them here. They're going to stay here. They're looking at buying houses here. I mean, this is these young kids, men. I call them young because they're my kids' age, but they're going to stay in this community. Like before, everybody moved out of Lawrence. Now, most of the police department lives in Lawrence now, which is a big thing, because now you want to take care of your neighborhood. You want to make sure the guy down the street's not doing burnouts and throwing garbage out the window or loud parties. So you want to, there's a definite investment. And these young cops are going to be here, and they should be compensated. So I hope that answered your question. A little long-winded, but.
Through you, Council President, I just wanted to say.
No, wait. Wait a minute. Let's go around first, and then I'll give you the floor. Councilor Mamo, you still have the floor. Councilor Levy?
Thank you, Council President, through you.
Hello.
Hello. How many officers do we have right now?
Right now, we have 117 police officers in the Patrolmen's Union, and then there's another 37 in the Superior Officers Union. 157 altogether. There he is.
Okay. So the last contract was signed about 5 years ago?
Took us almost 5 years to settle,
Okay.
correct.
'Cause I-
We had to do 2 contracts. One was for 3 and one was for 2 years.
Yes, I
That's how
just
far back
remember
we-
that not too long we
Yep.
signed a
So
contract.
Mayor Rivera was the
Yes.
mayor.
And this one is going to be for another
3 years.
3 more years.
Yep, so it's
but
it's still valid. So last one we did, it was expired the whole time. This one will still be good for another year, year and a half. Yeah, till next June.
Okay, so but this one started 2023.
July 1 of 2022.
Yeah, July 1 of 2022.
Okay, 2022. So my other question on this regard is like because as soon as we mention like the increase on the 2.5, this is something that has to go through the ballot. So we have to request people to vote on that or no? No?
No.
Because I remember that at the last time, we put it,
That was a debt override question
Okay.
for building the Leahy or the Oliver School. This does not require a vote of the people.
That's just in case
the
that.
city council,
Yeah,
right,
this
right.
is
So
in
the
case
excess
that-
levy capacity can be used as part of, and again, and when I come down with a budget in a couple of months, and it's presented to the council, that budget will have to be supported with either additional tax levy or some reserves to make it work. Assuming, because 2.5% of our Prop 2.5% is about $2.5 million of new money coming into our budget. This contract next year will cost about $1.8 million for the patrol. There's another 1.7, I think, for the firefighters. That's $3.5 million just between those 2 unions. And we still have all the rest of the unions to handle. So it's going to require, just these collective bargaining increases are going to exceed what we've already agreed to pay all our employees, are going to exceed the 2.5% that we're allowed to raise taxes. Because we have the excess tax levy capacity, we can go a little bit higher, thankfully. You know, our finances are in good shape, and we can afford it. And this, as long as the city councilors and the mayor understand they may have to increase taxes a little bit more than they'd like.
Okay, so, but the money to pay the retroactive is right in there right now?
Right, this request I'm asking for you tonight, we have enough in reserves to pay
Please.
almost all of it, but we are taking $665,000 out of free cash to fund the balance of
Okay,
this
so we had
contract.
that amount
Right,
to.
we had, out of the 1 point, we have 619 in salary reserves. We were short, we used, in last year's budget, I set aside a couple $1 million for salary increases, to settle contracts, and we went through, we gave a little bit more than I was comfortable with. So we are going to have to use $765,000 out of our $43 million in free cash to fund the balance of this
The
contract.
balance of this.
Right.
Of this. All right.
President.
All right, thank you. And thank you guys for your service. So
Thank you very much.
so happy that you were able to get and find out that you like it, the contract that you practically, we're going to vote tonight.
Okay, great.
Councilor Santiago? Oh, you. Councilor Santiago?
Hi, thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
This is the really hard profession. I hear that, and we know that's dangerous. And I was checking the policy, the contract, and I didn't see any policy life insurance because I think your family need to be secure after, because you know when you go out, but you don't know if you going back home. And I didn't see any life insurance. I would like maybe for your family is the good benefit of that. And another thing is I would like to hear a strategy for the new policemen or new police, how you can keep in the city and for the old too.
Okay,
because-
so part of our negotiations was, when I originally spoke with the mayor. He's like, how do we retain these people? How do we retain the police officers? And I said, we gotta make us comparable. I used the analogy, if you're running your tire shop and the guy down the street is paying $5 more an hour, your employees are gonna go to the guy down the street, so you need to be competitive. You gotta have the same pay. And then I came from a police department where I got out of police academy, and I had to sign a contract for 5 years that said I would stay, and if not, I would have to pay the academy back. And that was one of my proposals to them. So that's enough to keep you here. No one wants to be like, I'm gonna leave and then get whacked with a bill. So the other thing is, with that, along with, boosting the pay, there should be no reason to leave. If you were born and bred in Lawrence, this is where you want to work. You want to stay here, family's here, cousins are here, you went to high school here, this is where you want to stay, this is where everybody's raised. So why wouldn't you stay? Especially if, the compensation's good and you might get a bill if you leave. So that's to keep them here. And in regards to the life insurance, that's something we can look at down the road, but that wasn't one of the main contenders of, this contract. The main thing was to get the education incentive and get a decent living wage, to be competitive.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Vice President Infante.
Thank you. I have a comment. It's more for, we have Mr. Iannello here representing the administration in the city on that end. But first, I want to say, I'm glad to hear that this was the fastest contract negotiation that you've experienced. That is very good news. And like my colleagues all have said, you guys deserve it, and we are very thankful for the jobs that you guys do.
Thank you.
Now going past you guys, I do want to say Mr. Iannello was here that night. Unfortunately, that wasn't the same sentiment that was shared by the fire department, the fire union. And it's unfortunate that one union is being treated better than the others during contract negotiations. These are men and women from emergency personnel that do put their lives on, at stake for us day and night. And moving forward, I want to hear the positive feedback of contract negotiations from all of our emergency personnel union members. I don't think it's fair that one union experienced it better than another. And like I said, these are men and women who put their lives on the line for us, and we should give that respect all across the board.
Councilor Luzon.
I think they were being very polite. Thank you for the ones that, some of you are live in my district. Thank you for reaching out and explaining this process to me, a new counselor. I hope that your next contract, it's much better. And I think they're just being very polite, because off the record, what I got, it was not a good process. So thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Councilor Reyes.
So I'm so happy because we're so close tonight. Yeah, I know how hard it is to be in Contra, because I'm be a part of Family Child Care, and we be in Contra with the state. And we have now more than 14 months to be in bargaining. I know how passion we need to spend to find out and advocate for what we need. And I'm so happy to see tonight we have set up your contract. Yeah, I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you do.
I mean, it says something, all these guys came in, that this means something to them, and like I said, the vote was 106-4, so that tells you something. They're excited, so.
Any other councilors? Oh, wait.
Council President? I have the floor? Oh, yeah.
I just have a couple of comments. Well, thank you all for the service that you provide to the city of Lawrence. I highly appreciate everything that the police department in general, but especially the patrolmen, what you guys are doing for the community. You guys are up there all the time. Every time we see a cop, it's one of you. And we definitely appreciate the fact that you guys are here to provide a quality of service. Something that I definitely I'm happy to hear from you is that embracing the importance of the residency requirement, not requirement, but the residency, perhaps people police officers that stay living here in the city of Lawrence. We have seen many familiar faces where they live, and you can tell the difference when a police officer lives on that area. I'll definitely appreciate that fact. And the fact that you mentioned that encourage the police force to look into stay in the city of Lawrence and to continue servicing the community with the quality of service that they deserve. Independently of what the contract means to the taxpayer is something that we definitely need and we must afford, because that's something that it's gonna depend on us if we want to have a force that is proud to be here and is also encourage others to continue the service. So thank you all for first of all being here. The reason that we kept you all the way for the last portion of the agenda, it was for a reason. And the reason is because we would like you guys to see what we do at the City Council. A lot of us probably is the first time they've been here. I encourage you to keep on coming because that is an important business that we do for the entire community. And by you guys being here, you guys can see all the type of grants that we receive, all the type of things that we do, and more importantly, being part of the community, because this is the community, how we operate. So thank you. That was the main reason as of why we kept you for that. Councilor, Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you. I keep looking over there. We do have the provisional chief here tonight in support of this, and I would actually like to call him to the podium and see if he has a few words in support or of his employees.
Good evening. William Castro, Provincial Chief of Police, Lawrence. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak. I'll speak on behalf of the Lawrence Police Department. A department that does a lot with very little. We have a department that responds to 66,000 calls for service last year. 66,000. It wasn't William who responded to those calls. It was the men and women from the Lawrence Police Department. We got some department that's supposed to be 167 staff. We 157. We lost our best departments to other police departments, Methuen, State Police, Lowell, just to name a few. We have a department that is dedicated, and besides all of the not having money and all of the struggles that they go upon, I just got some numbers here for you to share with you. Arrest increase, it was 20%. Burglaries went down minus 26%. Domestics A and B went down 30%. We have a community that's growing on the commercial district. Thanks to that, we spend more time. Burglaries in the commercial district decreased by 57%. Felony larcenies down 11%. Arrests increased 13%. So those are a few of the numbers that I have for you. These are the men and women that sacrifice weekends, holidays to work for your city. It's been 2 years. I remember when I first came to the table to help and assist with this contract. Mark Iannello did an outstanding job sitting down. There were several things that held us back, but we kept coming back to it. We kept redirecting and looking at what worked and what didn't. And one of the things that we saw as a group, as a team, it was the how to keep the officers on our department, education incentive. We have a department that's growing, it's very young, it's very new, it's well-educated, we're not paying for them. We have post-commission that is required by every police department. Post-commission required by every police department. We're not paying for them. We came up to the conclusion, let's pay them for that. 2%, that's nothing. Okay? We got a civil service. We idolize civil service when civil service is so isolated, and the reason why today we don't have the officers who we need. We just called for a list, thanks to Mark Iannello, to staff the department to 200. 200. We're pulling for a list for about 50 people. We got 19. Out of 19, 9. You know how many we have in the academy? One person. One person. Right now, civil service is being idolized and it's holding us back. Why is it holding us back? Because we have to keep asking and begging to recruit police officers. When these men and women from the police department and the unions work together with the city, they can come into an agreement, and we can get lateral transfers from other communities already certified to work in our community. We had a little comment about one of our officers that was rehired by this city. You know how that happened? Through a little loophole that we have in our community, in our civil service. That officer went and took the civil service again and reapplied for the job, and he was given a job. That's civil service for you. That's civil service for you. People don't know that. I know that. If you have any questions, you can ask me. 29 years of law enforcement experience. I have worked local, state, federal agencies, and I know what it takes. I've been working for 4 months, very hard, for the men and women of this department. Ask any member of that police department if I even have a picture hanging on my window. But everyone has been in my office. With that, I thank you for this contract. If you approve it, it's long overdue and well-deserved. You cannot support this city without that contract. Thank you.
Council President.
Madam Chair from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you. I want to thank you for your explanation on the rehire. I do want to add to your comments. There is a loophole, what I'm hearing, is from the civil service. However, when it comes to disciplinary stuff, that's the city's job to look into that background and then make the best decision for the city. So that's actually a mistake on our end. And additionally, I agree with you, once this contract is voted on, it will be a huge win. However, it's not 100% for the police department. We still have another 37 employees under your leadership that are still fighting for a fair contract, and I hope to see that this same support so you can have 100% satisfaction within your department. It's been a long time, and for this union particularly, and also for the next, and I'm looking forward to seeing both unions in your department moving forward for our city.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for that. I think if we can, I'm a firm believer if we can put our differences aside and work together for something, we can achieve that. As long as we hold personal grudges and agendas, we cannot move any further. Thank you.
Council President,
Councilor Luzon.
I just want to make a comment on that provisional Chief Castro mentioned the rehire that the police department made. There was not a loophole, there was a mistake made by the police department. I just wanted to put it out there. And we hope that at some point, that gets corrected. Thank you.
Councilors, any other questions, comments on regard to item 5624, which is the Police Patrolman Union collective bargaining agreement and fund transfer for the approval of the $1,385,600. Any questions in regard to this specific item? All right, I hear none. At this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Roll call, please, for the record.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor LaPlante.
Yes.
Counselor Luzon.
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Counselor Santiago.
Yes.
Counselor Marmal.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes, yes,
Counsel-
yes.
Counsel Vice President Infante.
Yes.
Counsel President Rodriguez.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Motion to recess.
There's a motion to recess. Properly second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Motion to come out of recess.
Motion to get out of recess, can I hear a second? Properly second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Now we go on top of the agenda. We have,
President,
eh?
Council President,
Councilor Levy.
thank you. I would like to take an item out of order and out of table. Item 47523 is the approval of sale on real estate, the 4 Bleach Way.
There is a motion to take out of table matter item 47523, which is the approval sale of real estate property of 4 Plinth Way, tax map 70, lot 94. Can I hear a second? Properly second, discussion. All those in favor to remove it out of table matters, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Sí. Councilor Levy?
Council President, as far as I know, there is were some concern at the last meeting on regard of the sale of this property. And I got a letter here from the city attorney in here that after review all the pertinent ordinance, regulation, and the ethics opinion, it is this of the opinion that Antonio Lopez is allowed to be on the city-owned property of the 4 Bleach Way, Lawrence, Mass. So I don't see any objection why we cannot sell the property to Mr. Antonio Lopez.
Through you, Council President,
No, give me one, give me a minute. Councilor Levy, you finished with your comments?
For now, yes.
All right.
Okay.
The Councilor Levy just read the disclaimer from the city attorney, that it was part of the package last week as well. And she just read it. Councilor Luzon, you would like to speak?
I think that the
Councilor
question...
Luzon, Councilor Luzon, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to... So the concern was not the ability of Mr. Lopez to bid on the house. My concern as a counselor was the process. We asked questions that the person representing the department was not able to answer. We also asked about what is a home buyer, a new home buyer? First-time home buyer. We also wanted answers, and she didn't have any answers. Tonight also, we had another person that bid on the property, and she stated that she submitted all the required documents. So there's a lot of questions in regards to the process. So it's not about Mr. Lopez not being able to bid on the property as a city employee. It's about the process. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. President. We need to identify if another person submitted the whole documentation at the deadline. And also, we need to identify what is the requirement through the program. Because when you is considered a new homeowner.
First-time buyer.
Yes. At least you don't have another property. It depends the program. Some program request 5 years, some program request 3 years. Some program don't request any. Yes, you selling today, you can buy tomorrow. It depends the program. So we need to do our job and Google it and look at it for you find out what is the information, because we cannot allow, through my personal opinions, to not moving forward any petition from our community. Because when you apply for any loan through any bank, it's not easy, it's difficult. And sometimes when you be excited because you apply, you submitted the whole documentation, and after that, we put something on the way for making not easy for our applicant. I think it's not right. So we can look in the information, because when I don't have anything clear, I go to the right person and ask him, what is the information I need, or what is the information I need to request to moving forward any project in our community. Thank you.
Through you, Council President.
Any other councilors? Councilor Luzon?
So that's why we are paying a city employee to follow the process to, yeah. I'm sorry, she didn't get that. So, apologies. So that's why we are paying a city employee to come in front of the city council to answer those questions. Again, my concern as a city councilor was the process and the employee not being able to respond to our questions. I don't see her here tonight, because we still have questions, and I don't see her here tonight.
Can I say why?
No, you can't.
You can, Antonio, sorry. Councilor Rosario.
Well, this item was not on the agenda to be discussed tonight, so I'm assuming that's why she wasn't here. And I understand that process, she actually explained that she's been on the job for so long. So it was on our part at the end of the day to actually to process the information, and at this time, and at this point in time, or at any time, be ready to make a resolution on this item. We can't just rely on somebody to come and give us questions. We can actually search for the information based on the item that we are working on it. So let's do our due diligence so we can get the agenda moving and not just piling up and table matters and table matters and table matters, when we just need to do our due diligence to work any item that it's here. So we can actually start moving items, because there's been items there sitting since who knows how many years, and we're piling up and we're not moving any items. So let's do our due diligence, my colleagues, and get items moving.
Just for the record, councilors, we received today, and me and myself as a council president and Councilor Marmo as the chair of the Housing Committee, we received an email from the administration, what's her name? Ms. Charlinette Pascual, in regard to untabling this item. I respond to that email, and because she wanted to untable the matter because of the fact that applicants were asking her to untable it. And my response to that email, for the record, it was to provide the answers that the council have at that point from the previous meeting when it comes to how the city considers someone as a first-time home buyer. That was one of the questions. Also, any questions in regard to the self and in regard to the application that the council has at that point. That was not answered during that time, and that was the reason that the matters was tabled. We cannot untable something if we don't have a formal conversation about the answers, the questions and the answers that we asked previously, because we're going to end up having the same questions. And if we don't have the answers for those, and then we're gonna be stuck. So I think that the first thing that needs to happen is to get those answers, send it to the council, and be able to have a moving forward conversation about it. Councilor Vice President Infante.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. At first, it worries me when applicants try to pressure city employees to pressure us to untable matters. That's a little alarming to me. But secondly, we had an individual that came up and spoke to us during public participation, stating that she was told that certain documents were not required. And then we had, what's her name, Clarinette Pascual, saying that she did not, there was applicants that did not submit the required documents. So there's some miscommunication, misinformation there as well, and I would like answers to that as well. So I would like to make a motion to request Ms. Charlinette Pascual to come before us at the next council meeting, so we can get this ball rolling and get our answers.
You wanted to do it as a form of
The motion, yep, that's a motion.
So,
Second.
the Vice President just have a motion to request Ms. Charlinette Pascual to be here. Properly second. It is important to recognize that she reached out to be here tonight. And my answer to that email was to make sure that you send those answers. So, but that's a motion on the in front of us. Properly second discussion on the motion.
Council President.
Councilor Levy, discussion on the motion.
Yes. We need to take it into consideration also that how our Councilor Reyes said, we've been taking a process when we're going to buy a house. And sometimes the bank give it to us some certain time to make a decision to buy. And I think so that this is why the pressure from the buyer. That the bank, I don't know if it's looking or asking, you can lose the loan or whatever that they're gonna get it through the bank to buy the house. But I'm okay that we can table this item.
We're not discussing the table matter for this. This is not to table now. This is not part of the discussion.
Okay, but we can request Mr. Charlinette to come not just only with the information that we are looking now regarding the person that came this afternoon or early this hour, but also to respond and to give it to us the question that we asked before, that we can make a decision on the next meeting.
All right, there is a motion on the table. Discussion on the motion to send correspondence to Charlie Nate to be here today. Councilor Vice President.
Thank you. I want to make, and this is my last comment on this item, but I am aware of the process. I was in the home buying process a few years ago and paused because of a situation of losing a family member, but generally, banks give you like 6 months to a year, depending on the bank. They give you adequate time because they know the process of finding a home actually is. So it's not like they're going to they need to use the loan within a month or so. Like they give them adequate time. So we do have proper time to get our information and also to clarify the misinformation that we were just presented by. It is unfair to have someone say one thing and then have another person say one thing, all because we're trying to push something for a city employee. That's not fair. We need to make sure that we do our jobs as counselors and make sure to ask, why is this information not adding up? And then once we have that, if the individual that they chose to move forward with this, if it's still that same answer, then so be it. At least we did our job and we move forward. But we still have, the point is we still have time to make sure that we're doing things right.
Another thing that is important to recognize here is that a couple of things. The first question that arises, and I guess that the most important question that arises during the discussion, it was when somebody is considered a first-time home buyer. When the city of Lawrence considers somebody to be a first-time home buyer. That's the main question. Is the city because we have a program for first-time home buyer. We have a guidance that we utilize for first-time home buyer because we provide first-time home buyer a credit of, I believe, $40,000. So when we actually look into that, and then we say, yes, you actually a first-time home buyer, and this is the credit. We go by a guidance and an amount of questions. When we utilize that program, there is question asked to the applicants, and the applicants responds to those, and there is verifications for that program to take place. We have a program for first-time home buyer, meaning that we can check if somebody is a first-time home buyer. That was a requirement on the RFP. So if, based on our own program, we say, yes, this person is a first-time home buyer, based on guidance that we have, and based on this question, this question, this question, this question, and then we can consider that person as a first-time home buyer. That's what the council was asking. And if that's clear, but we need some type of guidance, because it's not up to we Googling it, or perhaps, we going to a bank, because each bank consider that program differently, but we have our own program. So we need those answers on that. And any other question, when it comes to the loan, and any particular loan, we don't know who we're going to be selling the property to. It could be any of the two finalists. It could be any, because they present two candidates that met the requirements, and they leading towards one based on a specific consideration. If that's the case, and then we will choose one of the two. So essentially, the fact that they're presenting two candidates, or two candidates met the qualifications for the sales, that's something that we should be discussing if we want to. or perhaps make a determination on the specific one that they present. Those are two things that we need to take into consideration for the fairness of the process. That's all. I mean, it's nothing against anybody. It's in favor of the process. So, Councilor Marmor.
Through you, Council President, it is because of the individual that showed up today for public participation that I had asked the question initially during our Housing Committee meeting in regards to what the department is doing to ensure the transparency of the process. And us as counselors, we actually don't know because it's presented to us based on their recommendation. I'm not sure in terms of like the first-time home buyer, if the department itself has its own guidelines as to what is considered a first-time home buyer, because it was advised to us that one of the co-applicants was a previous owner. So in terms of there was some sort of timeline to which she had previously owned a property, time had lapsed in terms of whether it was 5 years ago, 7 years ago. We have no knowledge as to how are they determining as to what is considered a first-time home buyer. I know when it comes to, like in the real estate industry, sometimes you could be considered a first-time home buyer depending on the type of loan that you have. Whether you're going from FHA to conventional, you could buy a property with an FHA loan as a first-time home buyer with a 3.5% down. So because of these many questions, which I must say that they are valid, I refuse to feel pressured to making a decision just for the sake of moving items along when we have items in this, in our agenda that is collecting dust for years. So I just want to make sure that, again, there is no issue in terms of the applicant itself being a city employee. The issue at hand is the fact that we want to make sure that the process itself and that the department is holding themselves accountable as to how are they ensuring that the applicants are holding up their end of the bargain when they are chosen to purchase the property itself. And I also want to gain an understanding as a committee of the whole, in terms of the individual that came up for public participation, how do we look into those concerns?
Advice responders.
Council President, Councilors, Octavian Spanner, Senior Advisor to the Mayor. As a recommendation to the Council, I would suggest, because I've spoken with the City Attorney prior to coming to the meeting, but I think, Councilor, if there's any concern or concerns in regards to the question, to direct the question to the City Attorney, and then from the City Attorney, from the administration, we can make sure that that staff involved in the process would give the councilor or whoever asked for the information to be given, not only based on staff recommendation or interpretation, but also the legal department. That's my only suggestion.
That's kind of like, not the way that we have done business before. Guiding questions to the city attorney when it comes to one particular case for sale, plus a property sale. But if that's what the administration prefer, I believe that there were at least 4 questions raised last meeting. Yeah. And those questions are, some of them in regard to a definition of how the city defined a first-time home buyer, and a couple of other questions that were in regard to the process.
If I may, Council President, the reason for that is there's a legal concern in regards to the application process. You would not have another applicant that apply. They have concerns. They brought it before the City Council. In public participation, there are questions concerning the matter through city councilors. And I believe that if we have our legal department, our city solicitor involved in the process, we can get not only procedures being followed, but also if the procedures are done in a legal manner.
Understood. Thank you for your opinion. We have a question in front of us, which is to send correspondence to Charlene Pascual, the Access Officer of the City of Lawrence, correspondence to inform the council when it comes to those questions that were raised before, and to be here in front of us next meeting. At this point, councilors, if it is no questions for that specific motion, I would like to. Let me call a question.
It's not a question. It's
All
just
right,
only
Councilor
to-
Levy.
Okay, it's not a question, Council President. It's just only regarding what's, it was say, yeah, okay. After it was said, just to add, not only Charlene, but to add the city attorney to send the question in regard of what we are looking for.
Councilor Vice President Infante, do you accept it as a friendly amendment to invite the city attorney to be here in the next meeting?
Of course.
It is properly accepted. Any other question or concern
I
regarding
got a
this
question, Council
specific
President.
motion?
My
Councilor
question
LaPlante?
is, when is the next meeting?
On the 6th. Oh.
I think we would
Next
want to
meeting,
invite them
according
with the
to
date.
our agenda that we have published, is on March, March 19. We're not going to have a meeting on March 5th. So that's our next full council agenda.
Just for the record, I want to express my objection that we don't have two meetings. We have a lot of things going on. We missed an ordinance committee. We got a lot of stuff that's backlog, as other councilors have said. I am willing to show up later that week, of the next week, either Wednesday or Thursday, so we don't have as much on the 19th. I just want the record to reflect that. Thank you, Council.
From the record will reflect that, and for the record, you can actually get 3 signatures with other councilors and request a special meeting. By all means, you can do that. All right, I'll call the questions. When it comes to this matter, all those in favor to send correspondence to the access officer, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Councilors, we continue the conversation. Any other questions or concern? This
Motion to
matter
table.
Motion to table on, properly second, no discussion on table matters. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Council President?
Old business, please.
Going on top of the agenda, no report on the Housing Committee.
Old business.
No report on the Housing Committee, no report on the Ordinance Committee, no report on the Public Safety Committee, no report on the Committee of the Whole, and we're going on top of the old business. Councilor, Councilor De Rosario.
Thank you, Council President. Through you, seeking if you can take out of order item 42823, please.
Council President.
So, Councilor De Rosario, you're looking to have this item 42823?
That's correct.
42823, which is that WR 3079965 to install 1 JO pole on Abbott Street, National Grid. For that,
President.
we need to pull it off committee. It's on the ordinance committee at this point.
Council President.
Councilor Vice President Infante.
For that, we should just go in order. We also have another one above that they've been waiting here for a very long time, and this item will go a lot faster than the second item. We should just go in order.
I'm recognizing Councilor De Rosario first on this matter. I think that he already requested floor for that, and we can do this fairly quick. We need to put.
That's okay. I will draw from now and Council Vice President can go through her item.
All right, we're going on top of the agenda, item 2124, no parking on Salem Street at Lawrence Catholic Academy. Councilor Vice President Infante requests this item to take as an emergency. Councilor Infante, you have the floor.
We have to vote to take it.
So for this, we need 6 votes to pull it off committee. First, we need to suspend the rules and to pull it off committee. Madam Chair, do you mind, Madam Clerk, do you mind specifying the rules that we need to suspend?
I don't have it in front of me, Council President. I'd say Rule 6 is usually for suspending the rules.
We need a
Because it
motion to.
hasn't been dealt with at committee, that's what I was saying, to deal with it as an emergency this evening,
Oh, got it.
as opposed
This
to
is-
pulling it
it's
from
not on
committee.
the committee, I got it.
Because it's at committee, but it's not been dealt with at committee.
All right, we need to declare as an emergency,
And that would be 6 votes.
and then it's gonna require 6 votes for this matter. Councilor Vice President Infante, do you want to
I make the motion.
request this item to be declared as an emergency?
Yeah, I make the motion.
There's a motion to declare this item as an emergency for the benefit of the community. Can you hear a second?
Second.
Properly second. Roll call, please.
Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Marmal?
Yes.
Councilor Santiago?
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Councilor Luzon?
Yes.
Councilor LaPlante?
Yes.
Councilor Levy?
Yes.
Council Vice President Infante?
Yes.
Council President Rodriguez?
Yes. So, item of emergency, Councilor Infante, what is your desire?
Okay, but we're gonna discuss it more. I would like to make a motion to order a public hearing for no parking on Salem Street at the Lawrence Catholic Academy location, and I make that as a motion.
Second.
There is a motion on the table to order a public hearing on this matter.
Discussion.
Properly second. Discussion, Councilor LaPlante.
Thank you. Just for timing purposes, can we have an idea about when there's the need for this closure of the road to have the work being done? I'm unclear as to when this needs to be done. Can you get some clarification, Council President?
Council President, through you, Council
Sure.
President, this is why I asked,
Infante.
thank you, Detective Cuddy to join us this evening to give those details and further explain the reason for this.
Yield to Father Paul O'Brien, the pastor of the parish, to give you the time frame of when this is all, because it's kind of a moving, like all construction, it's a moving pot, so to speak.
It's Paul O'Brien, 118 South Broadway. I'm the president of Lawrence Catholic Academy. The construction shutdown begins March 1st, and it will begin probably within a week, the actual shovels in the ground.
Thank you. Just, Council President, we're not having a meeting until the 19th. So the public hearing will actually take place well past the time when the street will actually be shut down, which is why I'm suggesting that we may want to have a meeting sometime soon, just for this type of situation.
There is a couple of options that we can have on this. Is the administration here? We can have a special meeting on this item. Is that?
No, I don't believe they're gone. You know, giving the fact, I believe they're gone, Council President.
So we can have a special meeting on this, or perhaps we can have an emergency measurement to have these parking until we meet for the purpose of the same issue for 2-3 weeks, and we can deal with that at that point. There is a couple of options, or we can 3 councilors can call for a special meeting, and we can also discuss this specific item. That is not an issue.
Of course, whatever the preference of the council is. In discussing this with Officer Cano on this particular matter, we can shut it down as a police department on an emergency basis for the safety of the public of that matter. Now, the long-term part of that, we would have to go through the normal process, but it happens on construction sites every day in the city, if you see the temporary no parking signs, so. But, whatever the preference of the council is, or the fastest and best way to make this a permanent issue, we'd also be in favor of that, so. No, that's just, we do have options, but obviously, I won't speak for the school or the pastor, but, the faster we get this done permanently for the construction period of time, the better off we'll be. Yeah.
Just to explain what this is, there's a new school being constructed behind the current Lawrence Catholic Academy, which would be Bailey Street and Parker Street. So that will restrict, which is great for Bailey Street, that's going to be closed off. So drop off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon will just be on Salem Street. It would be much safer to do that, we believe, with 475 children, to not have parking in front of the school on Salem Street just during the daylight hours. It can be done, but it will be much easier to do it without that. So it's I hope, a non-controversial issue and standard for construction in this very narrow space.
Councilors, we have an item in front of us. We are discussing this for the purpose of a public hearing. How close we can get the public hearing?
You already have in your packages the measurements from the police department, and you already have a draft ordinance from the city attorney. So as far as, I can order the public hearing for the 19th, that would be, or sooner if you want to do it sooner, but we were ready to go for a public hearing on the 19th based on what was in your packages.
Yeah, but we mentioned that the construction was going to take place before that. Can you clarify those dates?
It will begin, I believe, sometime after the 7th, 8th of March. I don't know the literal day that shovels will go in the ground, but Bailey Street will be closed off either the 1st or the 7th of March. So that's the key. I think the key thing is that all traffic will be up and down Salem and up and down Parker. And if we can stop basically our parents from parking there and our teachers from parking there during the day, as well as residents early, that should make everything safer.
If we got a public hearing notice in the newspaper by tomorrow, they would run it on Friday or Monday. It has to be in the paper for 7 days. So usually we would run it on the 26th to have a meeting on the 5th, which is kind of on target with what we would have normally done. But if you want to have a meeting on this item, like the 6th, the 7th, later that week, you could do it, or you could do it the next week, or the 19th, which is when you're already scheduled to be here.
We can just do it as close and then go for a special meeting. 5 of us can meet.
Yep.
And then it can be soon.
Yeah, the only thing is, when I run the ad in the newspaper, I have to tell them what day the special meeting is going to be. We have to post it that way, so you'd have to decide on when your special meeting is going to be if you're going to have a meeting. Because when you post the public hearing, it has to say the hearing date. So I would need that information. But he's saying that the police can close down the road under the police powers.
That's something that can be done? An emergency matter?
All over the city, we do it for construction purposes.
That would certainly resolve the timing, and I don't think anybody who's been involved from the city's point, anyone has argued that it would not be healthy for everybody. So
Right, let's get some
that's fine
information
for
from the
us.
police department tomorrow. And that way we can have an emergency measure until we come back and do a permanent measure that will take place on the 19th. I think that will help and alleviate the situation. Councilor Vice President Infante.
Thank you, through you. And Detective Cuddy, I also, between the time that the police has the authority to close until we are able to have the public hearing on the 19th, I do want whomever is working that detail to collect traffic information with, residents and see how traffic is flowing and ensure, because it is going to be a disruption, and we want to make sure that it's not too much of a disruption to the daily lives of the residents of that street.
So we've had many meetings about this project with various city departments, inspectional services, Dan McCarthy and his group, Captain Delaney in the fire department, and this was the best plan we came up with. Just for my own knowledge, generally during the day, if school's not in session, there's nobody parked on that side of the street anyways. They all park on the residential side of the street. I've also had a discussion about snow removal issues. Hopefully, we don't need it again this year, but with Lieutenant Cirillo about that, and the snow removal will take place when the road closure is from 6 a.m., proposed road closure, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So residents that are living there will still be able to adhere to the odd even parking and will be able to do snow removal. But generally speaking, and I drive that way, I live over in that area, as you know, I drive that way all the time, and very, very rarely is that side of the street used, even at nighttime, when there's not a snow emergency. And certainly during the day, the faculty fights for the limited spots that are over there. So I don't think it'll be a big disruption of the neighborhood. But like we've discussed this many times, it's going to be a work in progress for everybody involved. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have a motion in front of us, properly second, to order a public hearing on this item. Any other discussion? I hear none. I call the question at this point. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, rule. So, going back on top of the agenda, item 420, all business, item 42823. Install 1 JO pole on Abbott Street, National Grid. That's been, that's right now at the ordinance committee. To pull it off committee, we need to suspend the rules. I believe it's Rule 6.
Suspension of rules is Rule 11. Rule 6 is that all items go to the committee, so we're pulling from the committee, so.
Yeah.
It's Rule 11 be Rule 6.
So suspend Rule 11 to allow us to suspend Rule 6. And we need 6 votes for that. So at this point, councilors, I entertain a motion.
Motion to suspend the rules, motion to use Rule 11 to suspend Rule 6. Isn't that how it works?
Yes. There's a motion on the table, properly second. Discussion. Discussion. Councilor LaPlante.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Because of the snowstorm that we had last week, the ordinance committee was not able to meet. We were supposed to meet partly to talk about this particular matter. We did not have that opportunity. And I have some concerns and reservations regarding the project that regard safety, and that I think it's important that the committee does its business before it comes up to the full council. I wanted to bring, and I will be requesting, that the police, ISD, and the fire department come to discuss this project because of the safety implications that I've heard about that may or may not be true. But I think the point here is that I don't agree that we should be discharging this out of committee. I believe we should keep this in committee, do our work like we're supposed to do, as we were supposed to do last week, and then we will send this up to the full council for a vote. I think to fast track it at this point, I think would not be good for the process. And I don't think it will serve us as a committee well, because we didn't have a chance to deliberate as we should be regarding the major players that are not here this evening. Oh, and by the way, does anybody, and I know the answer is no, does anybody have in their packet the information, the designs for this process? It's not in here. So whoever put this on the packet as old business, A, did not talk to the chair of the ordinance committee, B, did not talk to the district city councilor, and C, did not put the proper information inside the docket so that if we have a discussion on it, we can have an informed discussion, but we don't have that. So for that reason, I'm asking that we don't discharge this out of the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just tell me, what is it on the item that a JO pole to be installed have to do with the project? Just respond that question for me. Because a JO poll, as far as I understand, and did my research, and I asked the committee, a JO poll, it's a poll outside on the street that have the higher capacity electricity that transmit, that go to the transformers, and then reduce it to either 220 or 110 volt. That's what a JO poll means.
Council President, through you.
Councilor De Rosario.
And once again, this item has been there, we discussed it, it has been discussed at that level, at the ordinance level. If you go back, the plans, they were here, they talk about it, we tabled it, election came back, gentlemen came back, and there's been rolling. And again, it's money spent, it's a house being built. We holding things to move the city forward. And based on sometimes on feelings, that's how I feel, on feelings, not, we did our due diligence. It was sitting, it's been sitting in ordinance. Now it's a new ordinance group, yeah, a new ordinance committee and members, that's great. But we do have, if we research it, if you go back into it, you can see the plans, the full plans and everything that's in there. So I don't know what we're holding on, honestly speaking.
Just for the record, this item for 2823, if we pull it off committee, we need to order a public hearing, so that we're not going to be able to approve this tonight because it is through a public hearing, which means that on March 19, that's when we're going to be seeing this item again. And throughout that time until we get to that point, we're going to be able to collect more information, relate the item to a project that not necessarily have to do with it, but it have something to do with it. All the plans have been submitted. And also, what is important to recognize is this item has been on the agenda since December.
Through you, Council President.
Councilor Rosario.
And that's all I'm looking for. It's just to move this item forward and have a public hearing. From here, hopefully from here to the 19th of March, all the paperwork that we have could be updated. And all the big cats that my colleague wants to invite could be here on that day. So let's do that. Why are you holding in there?
It is important to recognize that we have about, maybe in the last 2 months, maybe 30 to 40 to 50, maybe 60 JO poll. We holding this one up? Maybe 60. I have seen like 60 JO poll that at some point I asked a question, what is a JO poll? What is that? And until I find out that it's a poll to extend the high-intensity cables for the high-intensity electricity.
And through you, Council President, one last
Councilor De Rosario.
And as much as I've been fighting for National Grid and all these people that come and pay what they deserve on polls, that item doesn't move up or doesn't move down, it's stuck somewhere, and we don't fight for that. As much I don't like that we pay for National Grid to do this work, and none of us says anything. And this has been holding for 2 years to make National Grid pay. We pay for National Grid to do these things. The city is paying for National Grid to get a public hearing. National Grid gave us $100. Ask them how much National Grid is going to charge them. And National Grid give the city $100. And as much as I don't like National Grid, the way they charge and how much we pay for National Grid, this needs to be done. It's his house, it's his property, it's his money, it's his investment in there for J-Paul. So as a motion, let's move with the motion.
Just to get some clarity on that, on the cost. How much it will cost you for this JO poll?
I'm paying almost $8,000 for a poll.
Thank you so much. No more questions.
And we get $100 out of that.
At this point, councilors, I will call the question, this is to suspend the rules and pull it off committee to be able to discuss this at this level. Or probably not even to discuss it, just to order the public hearing. Item 42823, at this point, Madam Clerk, I will call the roll call.
Councilor Levy? Yes. Councilor, it says Dela Cruz, I apologize. Councilor LaPlante?
No.
Councilor Luzon?
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Counselor Santiago?
Yes.
Counselor Marmal?
Yes.
Counselor Reyes?
Yes.
Council Vice President Infante?
Yes.
Council President Rodriguez?
Yes. So now we have this item at the full council. And what is, Councilor, what's the desire?
Motion to order public hearing.
There is a motion to order a public hearing, properly second discussion.
Discussion.
Councilor LaPlante.
Council President, who put this on the agenda as under old business? Because I didn't do it as the chair of ordinance, and I didn't do it as the district counselor.
Any councilor have the right to put it on as an old business.
Sure. So
I mean, for the disclaimer, who was the one? We discussed it. Joe, I authorized the.
So just for this, Council President, we talk about transparency and working with others. I get that. As a courtesy, as we try to extend to everybody, to make a phone call or alert the district counselor that's in the district, who's also the chair of the committee, that you're putting it up this evening, we could have this conversation to express the concerns potentially, and then we wouldn't have to have this kind of conversation because there'd be a much better understanding as a courtesy. So I
No
just.
problem.
that would be helpful.
Next time I'll do that.
Thank you.
No problem. At this time, councilors, there is a motion to order a public hearing, properly second. Any other discussion? I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
No.
Ayes have it.
No. Roll call.
Please.
Council,
Yes.
Counselor Marmal?
Yes.
Counselor Santiago?
Yes.
Counselor Del Rosario?
Yes.
Counselor Luzon?
Yes.
Counselor LaPlante?
No.
Counselor Levy?
Yes.
Counselor Vice President Infante?
Yes.
Council President Rodriguez?
Yes. We go on to the next old business, which is for 3023, amend City Housing Development Initiative Plan, extending the proposal of housing development zone to include more city neighborhoods and amended the other aspect of the plan. It was put together by Dan McCarthy, the land use planner. Councilors, we have this as an old business. I actually asked the city clerk to put it on the agenda for the purpose of, if needed, pull it off committee through the same way as we just did on the previous item, and be able to discuss this item for the purpose of clarify a few things, or perhaps not do anything and just wait at the housing committee. It's up to the council. So councilors, at this point, I entertain a motion.
Through you, Council President. So
Councilor De Rosario.
this item, do we need to suspend the rules again, also 11 to 6? Yep. Motion to suspend Rule 11 and Rule 6 on item 43023.
There is a motion to suspend rules, to be able to pull it off committee.
Second.
Can I hear, did it properly second discussion?
Discussion.
Councilor LaPlante?
So just so I'm clear, we're going to try to discharge out of the committee so we can have a discussion here. The person who's the most subject matter expert is not here to talk with us. Are we going to try to get a vote this evening on this matter? Is that the intent?
Council President, it is, if the desire of this council is to vote, they have all the right to do so. Thank you.
So I just want to express I think this is a significant piece of legislation, and there's probably a lot of questions regarding what exactly is this HDIP, what's the impact on residents, what's the impact on businesses, where is this place? And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has questions on this. Certainly we can bring it up if the chair has no objections to it, but these are the kinds of questions we would ask at the committee level so that when we bring it up here, we have a recommendation from the committee saying, yes, we like it, no, we don't like it, or we really don't mind or have an opinion, we'll just send it on up. So that's my feeling on it. I'm probably I'm just letting you know that I'll be voting in opposition to it because I do think that the committee should be working on this issue.
Thank you so much. At this point, I call the questions. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Wait, what was?
Roll call, please.
What we voting on?
Roll call.
Counselor Levy?
Yeah.
Counselor LaPlante?
No.
Counselor Luzon?
Yes.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Mamo.
Yes.
Councilor Reyes.
Yes.
Council Vice President Infante.
No.
Council President Rodriguez.
Yes. So, Councilor, at this point, we have this item here at this level. We can do few things. We can discuss this based on the information that we get previously, or we can read specifically what was sent to the committee as of why we haven't moved forward. We have two different memos that we have from the McCarthy, or based on the information that we already have, which is a plan approved by the state, and also a condition that was provided previously as a new business, we can take a vote. It is up to the council to make this determination.
Council President.
Council Vice President Infante.
Thank you. According to our documents tonight, you said there was two memos. I'm only seeing one memo, and it's a very generic overview. Like, I am one person that does have questions on this, and this will not answer any of my questions, so.
No, that's what I'm saying, Council Vice President. I'm saying we can read the memo for the record and be able to, if the city council is not ready, we can send it back to committee. But we want to make sure that, or we can make a determination and take a vote based on information that was provided previously through email, and be able to discuss this. It is not the desire of the city council president to move anywhere or the other way. I just want to make sure that we at least be able to read that for the record and be able to accomplish the next step, which is either send it back to committee or approve these or not approve these.
Motion
It's up to.
to pass them.
There's a motion to pass 10, properly second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. All right, just for the record, Madam Chair, do you mind reading the memo? Madam Clerk, sorry.
Were two memos submitted to the council both on Valentine's Day, February 14th. The first was a simple memo from Mr. McCarthy stating, please continue the above document until the next scheduled committee meeting. The city would like further revise the project map. This will require review and approval of the Executive Office of Housing and Living Communities, EOHLC.
So, councilors, what we have in front of us, we have a memo stating that this administration is looking forward to amend the plan that was previously approved by the state, and include more land, for the lack of better word, on the new plan to be able to do the same. There is a plan currently approved, and the administration is looking to amend that plan that was approved a month ago. I don't know, I don't remember exactly the date. And for that reason, that's the main reason as of why these items haven't been moved. With that said, councilors, we can either move forward with the previous plan that include the intents of the neighborhoods that was read on the housing committee, or we wait until the administration revise those plans and get submitted again, if we decide to go that route, and then we send it back to committee. But I would like to open the floor for the committee, for the city council, to have this open conversation.
Council President.
Council President.
Councilor De Rosario.
Thank you, Council President. For those that maybe have questions on it, this is a plan to actually develop part of my district, which is District C. And I'm gonna bring it just like that. It's now time that the north is developed just the same way as the south. somehow when we have the land. This is a big project being on waiting for the longest. It's easier for, I could say a name, and I'm sorry, for Sala Poli to come here and request that he's gonna build right next to the, it's anybody that can come and request that they're gonna build right next to the train station, and we'll say yes. It's the same plan that hasn't been adopted in the north, and it's time for that. This development is in quarter process and waiting for us to approve this so they can start the construction. It's right on Broadway, right behind the fruteria, and it's all part of that. And it's a big, long waiting process, and it's time to move this forward. It will impact in a big way my district, in a good way my district, and the way it looks, and you guys will see it eventually, it will change the poorest district of the city, District C. So it is time for us to actually look into this and move it forward. I think the whole city is one city, and every neighborhood should be having the same right when it comes to land, building, and also develop the city for a prosperous city. Thank you.
Councilor Luzon.
I agree with Councilor De Rosario, but I have questions. I don't have information on the plan, and I would love to see this happen. But it will impact District B at somehow. But I think we should have someone from community development to respond some of the questions, because I don't have no information.
Councilor
at all.
On January 24th, only some of us who were on the committee got a memo from Dan McCarthy that's not included in this packet. It's expansion of that, so it goes beyond District C and it goes into District F on both sides of the river that I represent, both on Methuen Street and on Merrimack Street. It's an expansion of that. So it goes beyond that, but I don't think it's fair for this council to be taking a vote until we have all the information there. Out of fairness to this council on anything that we're doing, if we choose not to read it, we choose not to read it, but we should at least have the information so that we can refer to it should we need to. And we don't have that. At least most of us don't have that. I know that I do. So I'm gonna encourage us not to support it this evening, and maybe there's a motion to table or something else that I will be supporting, but I don't think that it's right that we're taking this up right now without doing the work.
No, and it is important to recognize the following, Councilor Plan as well. The reason why the Housing Committee is not moving on this item or send a correspondence or send this committee with, as a committee report with a fair recommendation or no recommendation is because of the fact that the administration is looking forward to expand the plan. And that needs to go through the state. But it is also important to recognize that the state already approved a plan that will take care of the original plan or the original land that was proposed. That's important to recognize as well. How long the administration is going to take to be able to accomplish the approval of that extra land that they're planning on adding? I don't know. I just want to make sure that we disclaim that, and that's why that was the reason why we had that memo. And it was read for the record. Councilor Levy.
Thank you, Council President. It is necessary that we have to send it back to the Housing Committee, or we can have Mr. McCarthy to come in front of us, just keep it in here and discuss it in here, and that we can take it as you.
No, I mean, if we're not taking a vote on that tonight, based on the memo that we have, and wait for the new plan to come, I just want everybody to be aware that this is what is happening. And we definitely can send it back to the Housing Committee. That's not an issue. But I want to have this council to take an opportunity to discuss, and knowing the fact that the plan was, I wouldn't say that it was submitted as a new business, because I'm not certain. I know that I get it at the Housing Committee, but the plan was approved by the state, and we can either move in one direction or another direction. But these council have the opportunity to wait for the administration to get a new plan or move forward with the current plan. And also, it is important for the record to recognize that those lands, for the lack of better word, are going to be eligible for a tax incentive program. That's the main purpose of that land to be developed.
Through you, Council President. And also, thank you, and also thank, as an extra medical facility coming into that development. An extra medical facility, we working on that. That's what coming, that's what also part of that development. Yes. An extra medical facility that is on the works, that's really needed in the city. And that space, if it gets developed, we don't have to worry about also parking spot, because that's what we worry about, another building, another parking spot. It's plenty of land right behind the fruterias that's gonna be developed. And we holding on, because the administration is gonna expand the plan. So they can always expand it, or try to expand it. But it's up to you, colleagues, to decide if we want to move this forward, you want to sit here, you want to wait for the administration 2 or 3 years to get whatever they're trying to get together, and while these plans and all the good things coming onto this district go to waste.
Through you, Council President, so and please correct me if I'm wrong, we initially had this item to move forward, but then it was requested to have it removed due to the amendment, correct? So my question.
To have it tabled.
What was that?
To have it tabled.
Tabled due to the amendment. My question is, due to this amendment, is that an issue to move forward with the initial plan to begin with? And if so, then wouldn't we be required to have to hold off on making any decisions until we receive the amendment plan?
I don't think he hold out the plan. I don't think he hold out the original plan. Councilor Levy?
Council President, can we call, like she was explaining, so can we call like a phase 1, that could be the first part, and when we have the amendment, could be a stage 2 or phase 2 of the plan, and get the approval of the second one?
If the council decided to do so, I mean, it's
So
up to
we
the
can
council.
move, maybe we
But
could
there is-
move forward with the first one, we can send it back to you, you can review it or whatever that has to be done, and we can approve it over there and send it to us, and let's say it's gonna be like a phase 1. And then we can move forward with the second part.
You
when
suggesting
we
to send it
come
back
out.
to committee?
Yes.
If that's the desire of the council, I will, at this point, I will send in this item to the housing committee.
Yes.
We have table matters, councilors, any table matters that would like to discuss tonight?
Through you, Council President,
Sure. Councilor Luzon?
I would like to untable, hold on one second. Item 443-23, request to remove a 15-minute parking sign.
There is a motion to untable item 44323,
Second.
properly second. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor to remove out of the table matters, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Councilor Luzon, you have the floor.
Officer Cano,
Do you have a-
President.
you have a motion?
Oh, I have a motion to remove. Motion, so should I repeat this again?
Now we have it in front of us. Now, what you desire to do something with the item?
Yes, we want to remove the 15 minutes parking sign.
So you,
Motion.
motion to.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
No, well, I'm confused here, I'm new. Madam, will we,
Clear? Counselor, you had previously before the meeting asked me about possibly amending the signage to, rather than removing it, so your motion would be a motion to maintain the signs but amend the hours of the signage.
so a motion to amend and maintain the sign, amend the motion.
Amend the hours of the current sign that we have there.
Yeah, so based on the recommendation of Officer Cano, so,
And you're looking to have a public hearing for that? I believe we need a public hearing for that? We have a public hearing?
We had a public
close it.
hearing, we closed the public hearing. You can, as a body,
Yeah.
once you posted that you're going to either withdraw, you can amend that. So we have done enough, you can do more, but we paid
I
for
think
one
we-
ad.
All right,
You can work off
I
that.
think well, I got it. So we have a public hearing, we closed the public hearing, now we open for motion. The motion in front of us, as per Council Luzon, is to maintain the sign and change the hours. What are the hours that Officer Cano recommend?
Officer Cano recommended from 7 to,
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
to
9 a.m. and then 2 to 5 p.m. We spoke in one of the public participation. We had a resident, the person that owned the house, where the,
I think we have both parties at the public
yeah,
participation.
so we had the both parties, but she
There's a need.
is recommending or asking if it's possible to have a sign between 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Because she owns a daycare.
Yeah, so the recommendation from the Officer Cano is to have a do not parking.
Council President.
Do you have the recommendation in front of you? Councilor De Rosario.
Council President, this is a daycare. It is a daycare. So if we eventually don't remove this sign, I have signs rejected because there was a daycare. Officer Cano went to a sign, the lady asked 538, 568 Long Street, and was rejected due to the fact that it was a daycare. According to Cano, daycares are not allowed to have 15, 20-minute parkings. That's what he says, according to Cano. But what I'm afraid is that now we're moving this forward, we're gonna leave this sign there. You know how many daycares we have here? And this is gonna be a common denomination, because we already approved one, and we're gonna adjust it, and we're gonna adjust the hours. So this is recorded, it's live. We're gonna have every daycare center requesting a 15 minutes, a 20 minutes, a 2 hour, like it's a bus stop. Daycares do not have bus stops, and that's the time for bus stops. We need to actually, not against it, to be honest, of the business, but it's the way we doing this thing. The hours that she requested is if it would be a bus stop. It's for parents to drop off and pick up the kids. That's not a school.
I believe that, just to clarify some info, that the reason why was the 15-minute parking was denied, it was because it was within the meters area.
There's no meter.
My
We
request was,
request the 15 minutes there.
my request was away from the meters. It was Lawrence after Arlington Street, all the way up there, and the line of Lawrence Methuen. But if you can see my concern, I had also a blind, disabled person that needed a handicap spot, but she only needed it also for the bus to come in 2 hours in the morning in order to be picked up and drop off. And again, it's not a school. They needed to have a handicap placard to get that. A daycare is not a school.
It is important to recognize, councilors, the following. The police department is recommending, is not telling us what to do. We are the legislative body. If we decide to go against that, we can go against that because we see the needs. It has happened multiple times and many occasions lately. It haven't happened, but it happened multiple times before. It is a recommendation. As a legislative body, we can make a determination on those type of things as we authorized by the law. The police department is not the legislative body. We are. And we can follow the recommendation and not necessarily follow the recommendation. That's the way it is. But at this point, councilors, we have a motion in front of us that is recommending a sign to stay and removing the portion of the 15-minute parking to now be from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. 2 different blocks of time.
Yes.
If I'm getting the time correct from the recommendation.
It's correct.
So we have that. Is that a form of a motion, I believe, and it was seconded by what, Councilor? Councilor
Discussion.
Santiago.
Discussion?
Sure, Councilor LaPlante, give me a minute. Councilor Santiago second that, and now we are open for discussion. Councilor LaPlante.
Thank you. So just so I'm clear, so there is a daycare that we're looking to accommodate traffic, or not traffic, but drop-off pickups and that kind of thing. I'm just trying to project a little bit. I think, I don't have any data because I wasn't expecting to vote on it tonight, I believe we have a lot of daycares in the city. I don't know if anybody has a number, but if you were to, somebody, you have a number? Oh, the clerk has a number. Clerk?
Because, through you, Mr. President, when we request.
You willing to reply
Okay.
to that, to
I would like to keep-
the number? You have the number? Or the
Absolutely,
the
yes. I
clerk
have the
have
number.
Okay. you have
And
the
they
floor.
don't have the right number, because they thinking about 300. We have more than 300 educated in our city. But when we thinking about, when we request a special sign for family child care educated, is through the process, and the officer identify as needed enough. Especially when the family child care educated have driveway, they not allowed to request 15-minute sign. Or when they have a quiet street, they don't need to request. But especially from this item, we're talking about through the Avon Street. It's very narrow, it's very complicated, it's not safe for our children, so we need to provide the safety for our children and our family, because it's not an easy street. When we're talking about family child care, maybe Councilor Del Rosario say it's not about education, but when we're talking about through education, what you thinking we do through family child care? Through you, Mr. President?
I appreciate the answer. So the number apparently is north of 300, 300 or more. And what
We
I'm-
have more than 1,000 family child care educated in our community. Thank you.
Council
Well,
President.
thank you. So it's well north of 300. We have a universe of maybe 1,000. We have a parking crisis, which is why we're doing this, right? We keep talking about the parking crisis, the housing crisis, the parking crisis, yada, yada. When I'm here, I'm in a state of shock. I'm a little concerned that if we say yes to this, how do we say no to somebody else, the 999 others, who are then going to petition and say, well, you gave it to this one on Avon Street, why don't we have it? And then I've got 3 neighbors on other sides on the area that I'm living in, or district that I represent, saying, why are you cutting off that stuff from
And you have a lot of family child care educated in your district.
So I'm sure you have a lot.
Just clarifying.
We have a lot.
Okay.
And you're going to give me some numbers later, I'm sure, through you, Mr. President. I'm
I
going to be
want to
delighted to
clarify
look
that
at
point.
them. And I want to know where they are, and so I'm happy to see that. However, but you can understand the concern. So while I want to accommodate my district counselor because of a need, and my at-large counselor, who is very knowledgeable about this, and understands the need for safety for the children, and having a business, and making sure things are happening, there's a much bigger question here that I'm wrestling with, which is, how do we tie up potentially so many parking spaces in the city where there's already a parking crisis? So I'm concerned that I
Through
say
you,
yes
Mr.
and open the
President.
door, right? So we already had a public hearing, right? So now this is really a vote tonight on this, right?
So there is a motion to approve, to maintain, there is a motion to maintain the signs with the specific
Rosario.
changing of the time change from 7 a.m., 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and for the block of 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Councilor Reyes, you have the floor.
So I want to mention it again for the public. It's not for every family child care educator. It's just when the officer identify they need it. When they go and visit them, because you can request everything you want to request, but you need to wait for verification. When they verify they need it, so they do their recommendation. And after that, we review and we approve or not.
And it is important to recognize the following councilors as well. The family child care is also, it's a regular business, just like we have 300,000 other businesses. And they have requests, bodegas have requested, and we have given. So this is not specific to any specific business, it's to whoever needs it. And we decide to provide that, to accommodate that. Councilor Marmo.
Through you, Council President, are there any guidelines that determines the approval of these 15-minute or no parking from this time to that time? Or is it on a need basis based on the recommendation of law enforcement?
Well, first of all, the law enforcement, when they go there, to answer your questions, when they go there, they look for a couple of things. One of them is perhaps obstructions of any particular obstruction. If we have a pole, or if we have enough distance to the corner, or if the applicants have driveways, or perhaps if it is any specifics, if it is any other signs around that conflict with the current sign that is being requested, and many other factors. Those are the characteristics that the police look for. They look for safety, and they also look for measurements, which is something that, you know, it is kind of odd to me because the police department is not quite, are not quite up to taking some measurements, because that's more of the DPW. But I mean, I'm glad that they do that.
They work
because
together.
at least that we're getting some info. And they also look for how is the geometric of the street and many other factors that take place for them to either recommend that or not recommend it. When it comes to a specific parking or special parking, perhaps when it comes to handicap parking, there is an state law that you know it's more like complicated for the denial of any handicap parking because they are protected by law. But on these occasions, the 15-minute parking, it is completely up to the city council, the legislative body, to approve or not approve, and we also go by the recommendation of the law enforcement.
Council President.
If I respond to your question. Councilor De Rosario?
Just piggyback right in, call it Malaplan, but on a different way. At whatever happens tonight, you gotta wait for me that I'm gonna resubmit the parking for that also provider in Lawrence Street. So colleagues, keep their mind on the votes, because I'm gonna resubmit it. It was denied.
Try to do that.
It was denied due to the fact that there was a child care provider. I'm saying I'm not never say they're not educators, they are educators, they're not a school. That's different. They're not tagged as a school. And doing this is gonna open a Pandora box, which I'm gonna be the next one tomorrow morning, bringing the application for that child care provider on Lawrence Street, and I expect the same vote to happen.
Through you, Mr. President, I want to clarify that point because I have a song request.
Councilor Reyes.
I have a song request from Lawrence Street, and we explain when we have mirror, we're not allowed to put the sign. When we have mirror, we cannot allow to implement the 15-minute parking.
Can we vote on? Roll call, please.
Before we get to that point, Rule 21. Yeah, just read it. Yeah, we're going to read Rule 21 for the record, please.
Rule 21 is called final rejection. When an ordinance or resolution has been finally rejected or disposed of by the city council, no ordinance or resolution which is substantially the same shall be introduced by any council member or committee at any time within 12 months following the final action on such ordinance or resolution. This resolution shall not apply when a council has been granted leave to withdraw on a previous ordinance or resolution.
It was withdrawal?
I didn't put it through due to the fact they told me the childcare business did not qualify for that type of parking because they were not school. So I did not submit it. But if we're doing this, it's open up Pandora box, and tomorrow will be the first one bringing the application.
You have
for
all
the
the
first
right to
time.
do so, Councilor
That's
Rosario.
okay. No, I just, I respect it, but that's okay, let's go.
Yeah. At this point, if there is no further questions, I call a roll call for this item.
Councilor Reyes. Councilor Marmol.
No.
Councilor Santiago.
No.
Councilor Del Rosario.
Abstain.
Councilor Luzon.
Yes?
Councilor Plant.
No.
Councilor Levy.
No.
Councilor Vice President Infante.
No.
Council President Rodriguez.
I'll vote yes. Councilors, at this point, I will entertain a motion to withdraw.
Motion to withdraw.
There is a motion to withdraw.
Second.
Properly second. Discussion.
Point of parliamentary, what did we just vote on? What was that vote? Was it on a vote to support?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
That was a vote to support that was
Either-
rejected.
That was a vote to change the time on the current sign.
The vote was to maintain the sign.
To maintain the sign and change the
Downwards,
timing.
yeah.
Timing didn't go over. Now we're looking for, there is a motion to withdraw. So at this time, I call the question, I call the motion for withdraw. All those in favor to withdraw, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. So that means, which means is like, the ordinance stay as is.
There's currently a 15-minute parking sign that will just,
Yes, it stays as is. Top of the agenda. Any other table matters, councilors? Okay, we're going to new business. Item 7624, resolution amending, rescinding and reimbursement requirement for the creating a Trip Lawrence grant awareness. This is going to go to the Budget and Finance Committee. Item 7724, handicap parking on 155 Saratoga Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 7824, Merrimack Transportation Corporation renewal taxi livery license. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 7924, Popular Taxis LLC renewal of a taxi livery license. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 8024, Liberty Taxis renewal taxis and livery license. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 8124, Five Star Express Transportation. This is going to the renewal of the taxis livery license. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 8424, L&M Transportation, the renewal of a taxis livery license. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 8324, Rio Hondo Transportation, Rio Hondo Transportation, renewal of taxis and livery license. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 8424, Reliable LLC, This is going to the Ordinance Committee. 8524, G Group Transportation, this is going to the Ordinance Committee. 8624, Town Liberty Transportation, this is going to the Ordinance Committee. 8724, American Taxis Renewal Taxi Liberty License, this is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 8824, 4747A, Newberry Street, Declaration of Surplus, this is going to the Housing Committee. 8924, Newberry Street and Garden Street, map 87, lot 7, this is the declaration of the surplus. This is going to the Housing Committee. Item 9024, 4951A, Newberry Street, declaration of surplus, this is going to the Housing Committee. Item 9124, 55 Bronxville Street, declaration of surplus, this is going to the Housing Committee. Item 9224, amend to non-union classification plant, this is going to the Ordinance Committee. Install, item 9324, install one JO pole on Marshall Street, another JO pole, this is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 94, item 9424, construct underground conduit on Common Street near to Ansbury Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 9524, install 2 JO pole, Lawrence Street, and remove 1 JO pole. And relocate another JO pole. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 9624, install 2 JO pole on Salem Street near Union Street, near South Union Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 9724, install 1 JO pole on South Union Street, near Abbott Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 9824, install 2 JO pole on Springfield Street near Parker Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. 9924, install 2 JO pole on Newton Street near King Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 124, install 1 JO pole on Newton Street near Wall Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 10124, install 1 JO pole on Durham Street near Road Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 10224, install 1 JO pole on Crossbeat near South Broadway. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 10324, install 1 JO pole on Everett Street near Sambor Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 10424, construct underground conduit on Merrimack Street and South Union Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 10524, install 1 SO pole on South Broadway near Springfield Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 10624, install 1 SO pole on Springfield Street near South Union Street. This is going to the Ordinance Committee. Item 10724, install 2 SO pole on South Union Street near Merrimack Street. This is going to at this time, I have no other business, and I can definitely entertain a motion.
Would you like to know when the committees are meeting?
Sure, of course. I would like to, councilors from the Budget and Finance Committee, there is an item for Budget and Finance?
We are going to do budget finance, there's one item. Wednesday at 6 PM.
Wednesday at 6.
Wednesday at 6, I'm not available Monday whatsoever, so Monday we're not scheduling it.
So let me go to ordinance first. Ordinance is on Tuesday, so you cannot take that one. So ordinance committee, Council President, Council.
You can call me that because
Council President?
no, seriously, it's the proper way to, somebody you don't call President Obama, Barack. I understand, but I appreciate that. So the long and the short of it, the ordinance committee will be meeting next Tuesday. However, I will say that if you're unable to make it, please text the chair, let him know. It's going to be a long meeting. we're probably going to not finish everything, because we have 2 meetings worth. So we're probably going to have 2 meetings before the next meeting. And then I would recommend that we're going to have a very, very, very long meeting on the 19th, because most of the stuff that's coming out is ordinance stuff. So then, there may be other counselors who are chairs who might not have meetings. If nobody else, I'm going to look to my committee members at 6:30.
We can leave that, I mean, there is only 3 other committees that are gonna meet.
We can meet at 6:30. Just be prepared that we may not get it all done, and we may have a second meeting. So 6:30.
Through you, Council President. The chair of that committee should buy dinner so we can be here all
I
night long.
agree with you 100%.
But we'll be here.
Yeah. It's Wednesday at 7. Personal,
No,
we have no
budget.
bid.
Budget and Finance at 6, Wednesday at 6, and also, I would like to schedule, we still have a pending matter for the Committee of the Whole, and I would like to schedule it for Wednesday at 7 p.m. I also had to cancel Public Safety last week, so I would like to reschedule Public Safety for Tuesday at 6 p.m.
So you want safety at 6, budget and finance 6? No, that's all Wednesday. So, okay, the time, please.
Okay, so Public Safety Tuesday at 6. Budget and Finance Wednesday at 6:30, sorry, there's only one item. And then Committee of the Whole Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Why don't you do safety at 6 on Wednesday?
And we can do that. We can do that. Okay, guys. All right, we're gonna do it all in one night. Public Safety, Wednesday, the 28th at 6 p.m. Budget and Finance, Wednesday, the 28th at 6:30. Committee of the Whole, Wednesday, the 28th at 7 p.m.
We have Tuesday and Wednesday for the committees. And then housing.
It's also Monday. Monday's available. I just cannot do Monday, but Monday's available.
So Tuesday, you wanted to do Tuesday at? Yeah, Tuesday at 6? You say 6:30 for ordinance? No, change it.
I would just recommend that housing seems very full.
Items.
Plus stuff that we didn't deal with last time, that's still there. The parking lot coming back to too long.
All right.
So Tuesday at 6, and then ordinance is moving up to 7. Okay. So we have 1 hour.
All right, so today we have housing and ordinance, and then Wednesday we have 3 committees. Anything for economic development? Okay, we're good? Councilors, we have all the committees. Motion to adjourn, properly second. All those in favor, please say aye. The ayes have it.